Chapter 1 Seizing Lifespan. Under the scorching sun, with a clear blue sky above and mountains all around, the world seemed to ripple. The forest swayed, and a mountain breeze blew into the valley, bringing a slight coolness to Guan, who was standing in the garden. Guan wiped the sweat from his forehead, his eyes burning as he stared at the blooming flowers and plants on the ground. Each one was brightly colored, showing no signs of wilting despite the intense heat. On his left and right stood two other young men. Today the three of them had joined Medicine Valley under the elixir hall of the Supreme Sect. Compared to Guan's excitement, the other two seemed uninterested, wiping their sweat absent-mindedly. In front of them stood a young man in plain clothes. His appearance was ordinary, but his body was tough and his eyes were bright. He was Zhang Chuanxiu, the senior disciple of Medicine Valley, explaining the key points of picking spirit flowers and spirit grass to the three of them. All the plants in this garden are first-order medicinal herbs. You can't uproot them when you pick them, you need to cut them at the stem close to the ground. After cutting, wrap the root in the spirit protection paper in your hand to prevent the loss of spiritual energy. Zhang Chunkius' voice was loud, and he seemed energetic, unaffected by the scorching sun. Guan held scissors in his right hand and white strips of paper in his left, carefully noting every word Zhang Chuanxiu said. Unlike the two beside him, he cherished this job dearly. He had endured many scornful looks to get this opportunity. Everyone thought he was giving up, that he wanted to fall into decline. Little did they know, this path was the most suitable for him to become stronger. Alright, let's begin. Each of you picks one and I'll examine them, Zhang Chuanxiu said. As soon as he finished speaking, Guan squatted down. Guan placed the spirit protection paper down and carefully held the stem of the red flower in front of him with his left hand. Brother, you're too nervous. Even if you cut it wrong, it's no big deal. These are just first-order medicinal herbs, used to refine basic elixirs. Back home I wouldn't even look at them, said Meng Lang on Guan's right. His clothes were luxurious, indicating a noble background. In fact, it was true. Besides Guan, who was a house servant, the other two came from wealthy families. However, in the world of immortal cultivation, spirit root qualifications were essential, and they both had the most common 5-element spirit root. To stay in the Supreme Sect, they could only be servant disciples. Guan ignored Meng Lang's words and focused on cutting the flower. Holding the stem, he gently cut it with the scissors, then wrapped the root of the red flower in the spirit protection paper. After finishing, he stood up and handed it to Zhang Chuanxiu for inspection. Zhang Chuanxiu took a look and smiled in satisfaction. Well done, you're very meticulous. Guan didn't respond, staring intently at the red flower in Zhang Chunkius' hand. At this moment he was even more nervous than before he cut it. A few moments later, a line of text that only Guan could see appeared in front of him. You successfully obtained 1 year of lifespan from the red spirit flower, first order. Success. A smile spread across Guan's face, and he felt a weight lift off his shoulders. Indeed, only plants and animals containing spiritual energy could allow him to obtain lifespan. The first time Guan obtained lifespan was when he was 10 years old. He accidentally bumped into another house servant carrying a pot of spirit flowers, spilling the flowers, and gained 12 years of lifespan as a result. At the time, the court guardian was furious and threatened to cut off his hand, but third Miss Ji Xiaoyu intervened and saved him. This time, Guan was able to join the Supreme Sect, thanks to Ji Xiaoyu's influence. Ji Xiaoyu was a rare dual spirit root genius, attracting the attention of many great immortal cultivation sections. When she joined the Supreme Sect, she brought 5 Ji family members, with Guan being one of 2 house servants. Without Ji Xiaoyu with his 5-element spirit root, he could only join a third-rate sect. While Guan was secretly pleased, Meng Lang and another young man named Liya had also finished picking. Zhang Chuanxiu placed the 3 red spirit flowers into his storage bag at his waist and said sternly, "Your task today is to collectively pick 50 red spirit flowers. You can only stay in this garden and must not trespass into other gardens. After completing the task, bring the red spirit flowers to the loft and find me." Then Zhang Chuanxiu turned and left. Meng Lang waved his fist at Zhang Chunkius' back and muttered, "Such a small task, but he talked about it for half a day. Has he never guided junior disciples before?" Liya sat on the ground, wiping his sweat furiously with his sleeves. After Zhang Chuanxiu went upstairs, Guan turned to Meng Lang and Liya and said, "Brothers, looking at your luxurious clothes, your families must be very wealthy, and you're not used to such hard work. I'm different. I'm just a house servant. How about I take on this task? You two can rest in the shade and look after me in the future." Meng Lang's eyes lit up and he laughed happily, "Sure brother, you're very thoughtful. If you ever struggle to stay here, he'll make sure you're well fed and cared for. Leah, too tired to speak, nodded in agreement. The two then left their spirit protection paper behind and supported each other out of the garden. Guan picked up the spirit protection paper, looked at the garden, and his eyes sparkled, hotter than the blazing sun above. To him, the whole garden of red spirit flowers was not just flowers but steps leading to the path of longevity. He began his work carefully, not only to complete the task but to do it well and avoid losing this perfect job. The sun blazed, showing no regard for the mortals below. Meng Lang and Leah rested in a small pavilion, ceaselessly wiping their sweat, watching Guan. Time ticked by, and Guan sweated profusely, but he was enthusiastic, his smile never fading. Seeing Guan's flushed face, Meng Lang couldn't help but sigh. In such heat, this kid is really pushing himself. I like it. In the future, well, look after him, make sure he eats and drinks well, and no one bullies him so he can keep helping us. Leah rolled his eyes and said irritably, there are hardly any people in this valley. But bully him. If the senior brother did, would you dare to argue? Meng Lang fake coughed and looked at Leah, asking, Brother, which Li family are you from? Leah replied calmly, the Li family of Changluo, Zhangzhou. Changluo? Isn't that the imperial city? You share the same surname as the imperial family? Meng Lang asked in surprise, his eyes widening at once. Leah didn't answer, staring quietly at Guan. Meng Lang grew uneasy, realizing he had encountered an imperial family member here. But thinking it over, he felt it made sense. After all, this was the supreme sect, the top immortal cultivation sect of the Taizong dynasty. Sharing the grand Tai character with the dynasty indicated its prestigious status. Meeting an imperial family member even at the lower levels here wasn't too surprising. After a long while, Guan finally finished picking 50 red spirit flowers. He placed all the wrapped red spirit flowers into a bamboo basket, slung it on his back, and glanced at the other gardens with anticipation. The valley had more than 15 garden areas, and the one they were in was just a small corner. He guessed the herbs in other gardens were more valuable. There's always tomorrow. Guan didn't want to expose his golden finger, so he decided to stop for the day. He walked towards the loft along the path, waving to Meng Lang and Leah as he went. The two got up and walked over. Brother Guan, I'll carry that for you, Meng Lang said cheerfully. The three had introduced themselves to the Valley Master before, so they remembered each other's names. Guan saw through Meng Lang's intention and smiled, nodding as he handed over the bamboo basket. Leah sneered, a look of disdain in his eyes. Guan only wanted to keep this job, not wanting to be transferred out for doing too well, so he didn't bother arguing with Meng Lang. The three came to the loft to see senior brother Zhang Chuanqiu. Zhang Chuanqiu was holding a book, and when he saw the three enter, he put down the book and said, Put down the red spirit flowers. These three are the basic sorcery books from the master. Cultivate diligently in your spare time, strive to jump out of here, and become a true disciple of the supreme sect. 5 years ago, a disciple received the master's spirit pill, successfully established a foundation, and became an outer sect disciple of the supreme sect. As he spoke, he waved his right hand, and 3 secret books flew out from his sleeve towards the 3 of them. Guan caught one and read the title on the cover. Springwood Skill. It sounded so low level. Guan wasn't disappointed, knowing he was at the bottom of the supreme sect. Zhang Chuanqiu gave a few more instructions, then let them find rooms in the adjacent courtyard, specifically for servant disciples. Currently there were only 4 disciples in Medicine Valley. The Valley Master was away and wouldn't return for 2 years, so Zhang Chuanqiu was in charge for now. After 30 minutes, Guan lay on the wooden bed, breathing heavily, his face flushed from the recent exposure to the sun. With a thought, lines of text appeared before his eyes. Name, Guan, lifespan, 15/151, spirit root, 5 elements. Ordinary spirit root, can evolve with lifespan investment. Cultivation level, not ranked, can evolve with lifespan investment. Cultivation technique, fire control art, not yet mastered, can evolve with lifespan investment. Guan had gained 88 years of lifespan in one go. Before this, his lifespan was 63 years, including the 12 years he gained at 10 for breaking the flower pot, meaning his original lifespan was only 50 years. First-order medicinal herbs could provide 1 to 2 years of lifespan, but to a mortal, even a year was incredibly long. Guan looked at his attribute panel, becoming more excited as he did. In such a short time he had gained 88 years of lifespan. This job was perfect. He wanted to stay in Medicine Valley forever. Who cared about being an outer sect disciple or inner sect disciple? Becoming an official disciple supposedly required undertaking external tasks, hunting demons and slaying monsters in the mortal world, dangerous tasks. Guwen had never killed even a chicken from childhood. In his previous life he was an ordinary person on Earth. The idea of killing was impossible for him. Staying in Medicine Valley was great, almost free of danger and a way to earn lifespan madly. Who said immortal cultivation had to be about risking one's life? Guwen indulged in beautiful fantasies, unable to pull himself out. A night passed. Guwen woke up early and after a simple wash, he went to find Zhang Chuanxiu for a task. Zhang Chuanxiu hadn't slept. He was practicing qi absorption. Seeing Guwen's diligence, he smiled in approval, then got up, walked to the door and pointed to a garden saying, "You can pick the spirit heart grass in that garden. After picking, leave the spirit heart grass at the door and don't knock." Then he waved his sleeve, and strips of spirit protection paper fell into Guwen's hands. Zhang Chuanxiu hesitated for a moment then smiled kindly, "Junior brother, work hard. With diligence and perseverance, you will surely succeed." Chapter 2 Millennium Lifespan. Spring passed and autumn came. Medicine Valley of the Supreme Sect went through another year of neglect in the change of seasons. The door of a pavilion opened and the 16-year-old Guwen, Meng Lang and Leah walked out from the room. They turned around and saluted inside, then Meng Lang closed the door. The three of them breathed a sigh of relief and then walked down the stairs. When they arrived at their own courtyard, Meng Lang couldn't help but complain. He could talk for an ancient hour about these things. Wouldn't it have been easier if he just handed us the 100 herbs collection? Leah shook his head helplessly, then he walked to the corner of the courtyard, picked up the sword inserted in the soil, and began practicing his swordsmanship. Although his spirit root qualification was mediocre, he was, after all, from the imperial family and had a set of exquisite swordsmanship in his hands. He planned to use this swordsmanship to make a comeback. The Taizong dynasty revered the traditions of immortal cultivation. The court officials were all practitioners of it. The dynasty designated every citizen in the 13 provinces into ranks. From low to high, they were slaves, commoners, officials, and immortals. Merchants were also considered commoners. Only those who achieved immortal status could be considered truly noble. Ordinary officials could only hold office in towns. The rulers of commanderies or a prefect of a province were all immortals, let alone Changluo in the imperial city. To enter Changluo one had to be immortal. Many families of immortal status would exile children with poor spirit root qualification to ensure the purity of their bloodline. The imperial family was no exception. The immortal status Leah was not someone Guwen could provoke, because he was of slave status. During this year, Guwen specifically helped Leah and Meng Lang pick medicinal herbs. Most of the picking took place in summer or early morning, so his efforts earned their goodwill. At other times such as planting, watering and fertilizing, Guwen did not help them. They also felt embarrassed to ask for help because Zhang Chuanxiu would always stand on the pavilion, watching during the planting. Guwen listened to Meng Lang's incessant chatter while watching Leah practice swordsmanship. Every man had a dream of being a swordsman. After a year of spending so much time together, the three of them had established a good bond. Leah did not mind them watching his sword practice. After all, he couldn't hide and practice swordsmanship, and the Li family's swordsmanship also had a unique energy-nurturing spell. Merely practicing the sword moves was useless. Meng Lang talked for a long time but finally ended his speech with reluctance. He patted Guwen's shoulder and smiled. "You never practice, why are you so interested in swordsmanship?" Guwen casually replied, "I am of mediocre qualification, so I'm too lazy to practice. Watching him practice is just out of boredom. Don't you think life in Medicine Valley is very monotonous?" "Yes, it is too boring. Back home I had 4 maidservants for entertainment. Do you know?" Meng Lang lamented and then started his endless chatter again. Guwen had long been used to his bragging nature and was too lazy to expose him. Until dusk fell, Leah finally finished practicing. He inserted his sword into the courtyard soil. While wiping his sweat, he said, "I'll take a walk in the small forest." With that, without waiting for Guwen and Meng Lang to respond, he walked towards the courtyard gate. After he left the courtyard, Meng Lang muttered in a low voice, "What do you think he's always doing in the small forest?" Guwen shrugged, "How should I know? He's a scion of the imperial family, it's normal for him to have some secrets. What if he returns someday to become a prince? Impossible, he's already been sent out to be a servant disciple. But think about it, there are many sects besides the Supreme Sect. Why was he sent here to be a servant?" Guwen shook his head. His words stunned Meng Lang. Then Guan walked to the well, scooped a ladle of water from the bucket, drank it in one gulp and then put down the ladle, heading towards the courtyard gate. Meng Lang did not follow Guan. He knew what Guan was going to do. After muttering a word, he returned to his room to practice. Guan arrived at a patch of land where second-order spirit grass, calming grass, was planted. This year, Guan had only been picking first-order medicinal herbs. The herbs here were not ordinary plants, they took longer to mature. Many herbs needed years to be harvested, so the herbs he picked within a year were not many. Zhang Chuanxiu had said that in another month, they could pick the calming grass in this patch for the first time. Guan had been looking forward to it for a long time. In his eyes, each deep blue calming grass wasn't just a medicinal herb but a number representing his lifespan. Suddenly, Guan saw a calming grass shaking. He looked closely and his face instantly changed. He immediately vaulted the wooden fence and rushed over quickly. He saw a palm-sized white-furred mouse digging at the soil under the calming grass, seemingly trying to uproot it. Seeing Guan rushing over, the white-furred mouse was so frightened it bolted away like a flash of lightning, quickly disappearing under the wooden fence at the edge, escaping without a trace. Guan initially wanted to chase after it, but seeing the calming grass bitten off and its stalk broken, he quickly squatted down and took out a piece of spirit protection paper from his waist. His left hand quickly snapped off the calming grass, and then his right hand used the spirit protection paper to wrap its root, preventing the spiritual energy from dissipating. After finishing the wrapping, Guan stood up. You successfully obtained 4 years of lifespan from the second-order calming grass. Before Guan could smile, another line of text appeared in front of him. Your lifespan surpassed 1,000 years for the first time, activating the lifespan detection function. Lifespan detection? Curious, Guan looked at a calming grass on the ground and murmured in his heart, check lifespan. Calming grass, second order 4/25/102 years, age/lifespan/lifespan limit. This calming grass could live up to 102 years? The obtained lifespan differed from its original lifespan. It seemed he couldn't completely take away all of the target's lifespan. Most of it dissipated with the target's death. Guan wasn't sure about the difference between lifespan and lifespan limit, possibly related to cultivation. He picked up the wrapped calming grass, got up and left, walking towards Zhang Chunqia's pavilion. All medicinal herbs in Medicine Valley needed to be handed over to Zhang Chuanxiu for safekeeping. Every 6 months, Guan and the others received their salaries as servant disciples of the Supreme Sect. It was all used to cultivate spirit stones and spirit pills. Zhang Chuanxiu also rewarded them with seeds based on their performance. There were 3 calming grasses planted in Guan's room, one more than Meng Lang and Li Ya. Meng Lang and Li Ya didn't feel jealous about this. Just as Guan was leaving the garden, he saw someone climbing the stairs leading to Zhang Chunqia's pavilion. It was an elderly man in black, wearing a black cloth hat and carrying a book box on his back, making him look very mysterious. Watching the elderly man from a distance, Guan felt stirred and checked his lifespan. Instantly, 2 lines of text appeared before his eyes. Qing Xiandan, Energy Cultivation Realm 8th Layer 104/120/180, Qing Xiandan. The Master of Medicine Valley and Guan's nominal master. He had only heard Zhang Chuanxiu mention him. Qing Xiandan had been traveling for years and today was the first time seeing him. The 104-year-old Qing Xiandan had a lifespan of 120 years, with a lifespan limit of 180 years. So barring any accidents he could live for another 16 years. Guan found lifespan detection interesting. It could help him identify others' cultivation levels and qualifications. He speculated that the lifespan limit could indicate a person's talent, but this guess needed to be verified repeatedly. Qing Xiandan entered Zhang Chunqia's room and closed the door. Guan went into Zhang Chunqia's courtyard, placed the wrapped calming grass on a long table, and then turned around and left. He returned to his own courtyard and first visited Meng Lang, who was cultivating inside. Meng Lang, Energy Cultivation Realm 2nd Layer 17/90/190, indeed a waste. After understanding Meng Lang's lifespan, Guan didn't talk much and soon returned to his own room. Until nightfall he heard Li Ya's footsteps and got up to open the door. Li Ya just turned to go into his room. Seeing him open the door, he couldn't help asking, "What's the matter?" While checking Li Ya's lifespan, Guan replied, "Master is back. How about we visit him together tomorrow?" Li Ya, Energy Cultivation Realm 6th Layer 18/210/1550, Hiss. A lifespan limit of 1,550 years. So, This was the talent of the imperial family? Wasn't Liya said to have a mixed spirit root? Guyan's look towards Liya changed. Perhaps Liya was an undiscovered genius who would eventually shine brightly. And this guy had reached the 6th layer of the energy cultivation realm. What did it mean? Playing dumb to catch tigers? The cultivation levels Guyan was exposed to from low to high were Qi cultivation, foundation establishment, core formation, nascent soul, and divinity transformation. Each major realm was divided into 9 smaller layers. Liya managed to reach the 6th layer of the energy cultivation realm at 18 years old. It wouldn't be long before he could reach foundation establishment, becoming an official disciple of the Supreme Sect. He must build a good relationship with such a talented fellow disciple. Hearing this, Liya raised his eyebrows slightly and nodded, "Sure, you are considerate. Call me when you get up tomorrow." With that, he turned and walked toward his room. Guyan watched him close the door, his heart full of emotions. Indeed, social classes existed in every world, and the difference in status destined it to be difficult for him and Liya to become real friends. Guyan wasn't angry. Being a house servant since childhood, he had endured many cold looks and neglect. He didn't resent Liya, who appeared mediocre to him. No matter, with the golden finger that could take lifespans, Guyan believed he would eventually become immortal. Before that, what he needed was to keep a low profile and survive the accumulation phase steadily. To live peacefully meant no conflicts, no stirring trouble, and the lower the profile, the better. Guyan smiled, then turned and closed the door. Tonight's moon was round and its light spread like water on the stone steps in the courtyard. At dawn inside the great hall, Guyan, Menglang, and Liya stood side by side. In front of them, Qing Xiandan sat on a chair holding a cup of hot tea. Zhang Chuanxiu stood beside him, showing great respect. Zhang Chuanxiu, Energy Cultivation Realm 5th Layer 54/110/175. Guyan thought his senior brother's qualification was low. But then again, there were many such medicine valleys in the Supreme Sect, and having one Liya was already rare. Moreover, compared to them, Guyan was the most useless when he first arrived. Qing Xiandan raised his murky eyes to observe the 3 of them. He began, "I have heard about your performances from your senior brother. Since this is our first meeting, I should present you with greetings. You can choose among the 100 herbs collection the energy nurturing skill, and the poison wood vine spell. You can only choose one and you must not share them. If I find out, you will be severely punished." Hearing this, Menglang was the first to speak. "Master, I want the poison wood vine spell." Guyan thought that no one would want the 100 herbs collection, so he let Liya choose first as a favor. Liya followed, "Disciple wishes for the 100 herbs collection." Guyan looked at him in surprise. "Brother, not playing by the rules?" Chapter 3 Evolution Cultivation Technique, Dragon Strength Divine Primordial Skill. Menglang and Zhang Chuanxiu were equally surprised by Liya's choice, but they did not speak. Qing Xiandan looked at Liya approvingly, nodded slightly and said, "Not bad, you have a good eye and are not impulsive." With a wave of his right hand, 3 secret books appeared on the table next to him. He gave Zhang Chuanxiu a look, and Zhang Chuanxiu immediately began distributing the books. From beginning to end, Guyan didn't have time to speak. "Alright," ignored again. Guyan, naturally optimistic, was not discouraged. "Though you are cold to me today, 16 years later, I will light incense for you without holding any grudges." Guyan received the secret book with Energy Nurturing Skill on the cover and pretended to be pleased. Recently, demons have infiltrated the Supreme Sect. The Medicine Valley is located on the edge of the Supreme Sect. Though there are disciples patrolling, risks remain. Do not stray outside the Medicine Valley during your daily routines. You can leave now. After Qing Xiandan finished advising, he waved his hand, and Guyan and the others immediately bowed and retreated. Guyan walked at the back and casually closed the door as he exited. Qing Xiandan nodded slightly and said, "That boy named Liya is not simple. He likely practices some technique to conceal his cultivation level. His essence, energy, and spirit are not inferior to yours. Pay more attention to him in the future. Also, he comes from the imperial family, so don't be too harsh on him." Zhang Chuanxiu nodded. He thought for a moment and said, "Master, Guyan is the most diligent, and coupled with his poor aptitude, he will certainly stay in the Medicine Valley longer." Qing Xiandan calmly replied, Then you take him under your wing. He is your responsibility." Zhang Chuanxiu smiled and bowed to thank him. Elsewhere, Guyan and the others returned to their courtyard. Throughout the journey, Menglang kept talking about demons, showing no fear but rather excitement. Liya paused, looked at Guyan and said, energy nurturing skill is actually not bad. It can conceal your breath and increase your lifespan. I already have a cultivation technique, so I don't need it. For someone like you, the energy nurturing skill is actually a better choice." Upon hearing this, Guan smiled and said, "Thank you, Brother Li, for your guidance. I might spend my life in the Medicine Valley, and the 100 Herbs collection indeed holds little meaning for me. Following Senior Brother, I can still learn about medicinal herbs." Leah nodded slightly, satisfied to see Guan take the advice. The three didn't chat much longer, quickly returning to their respective rooms. The daily chores in the Medicine Valley were not many, so they had ample time to cultivate. Sitting on his bed, Guan began reading the energy nurturing skill. Initially uninterested in the energy nurturing skill, after hearing from Leah about its ability to conceal breath and increase lifespan, he suddenly felt like practicing it, also wanting to test the ability to evolve lifespan. Over the past year he had cultivated the springwood skill given by Zhang Chuanqiu without any progress, so he gave it up after half a month. For him, rather than the monotonous cultivation, it was better to read more books on medicinal herbs and various travel notes in the library of the Medicine Valley to broaden his horizons. Day after day passed. Except for the daily inspection of medicinal herbs, Guan spent his time cultivating in his room. After 15 days of cultivating, he finally made energy nurturing skill appear on his attribute panel, still noted as unaccomplished. Looking at his attribute panel, Guan was full of expectations. Using lifespan evolution for the first time made him very nervous, unsure of how many years of lifespan it would take to deduce the energy nurturing skill. Although his lifespan had already exceeded 1,000 years, if it took several decades or even a century, it would still be a heartache. Staring at energy nurturing skill on the attribute panel, Guan silently chose to invest in lifespan evolution. Please enter the number of years of lifespan to invest. Seeing this line of text, Guan made a choice without hesitation. The next moment, 2 lines of text appeared before his eyes. You have invested 1 year of lifespan to deduce the energy nurturing skill. You cultivated the energy nurturing skill for a year. Due to your average comprehension and aptitude, there was no progress in cultivation level, but your essence energy improved. Suddenly Guan felt his body relax, but this feeling came quickly and faded just as rapidly. Is that it? The word average deeply stung Guan. How utterly insulting. Guan's heart filled with confusion. Could aptitude be related to the spirit root? He decided to use lifespan evolution on his spirit root, investing a full 100 years of lifespan. You have invested 100 years of lifespan to evolve the spirit root. You started comprehending the natural world, increasing the spirit root's perception of nature. After 100 years, your 5-element spirit root's perception improved. After reading these 2 lines of text, Guan brought up the attribute panel again, noticing his spirit root had changed from ordinary 5-element spirit root to better 5-element spirit root. Guan felt disappointed, his heart aching as he saw his lifespan shrink from 4 digits to 3. It seemed the evolution of the spirit root was a bottomless pit. How about trying the energy nurturing skill again? This thought popped into Guan's mind. After trying lifespan evolution once, he felt an itch to do it again. I only needed 1 year to earn 1,000 years into my lifespan. Today I'll invest a bit more and work hard to earn the lifespan back in the future. Just this once, given it's the first time using this function. Guan took a deep breath and silently chose to invest 500 years of lifespan into the energy nurturing skill. You have invested 500 years of lifespan to deduce the energy nurturing skill. You cultivated the energy nurturing skill for a year. Due to your average comprehension and aptitude, there was no progress in cultivation level, but your essence energy improved. You cultivated the energy nurturing skill for 10 years. Due to your average comprehension and aptitude, there was no progress in cultivation level. You successfully mastered the energy nurturing skill and your chi blood improved. You cultivated the energy nurturing skill for 100 years. Years of cultivation made you gain insight into the energy nurturing skill, causing it to begin transforming. You cultivated the energy nurturing skill for 200 years. It merged with nature's spiritual energy, evolving into a technique of immortal cultivation. You cultivated the energy nurturing skill for 300 years. It ascended to the spirit nurturing skill. You cultivated the energy nurturing skill for 400 years. This day you had an epiphany integrating the heaven and earth true meaning, and created the dragon image nurturing primordial skill. Your physical body and chi blood transformed. You cultivated the energy nurturing skill for 500 years. The dragon image nurturing primordial skill reached perfection, breaking through the limits of the technique and ascending to the dragon strength divine primordial skill. Your physique experienced a qualitative change. One line of prompt after another appeared before Guian's eyes. Before he could finish reading, a vast amount of memories flooded into his mind. The breeze outside the window swayed the curtain by the bed, also blowing Guian's black hair. With his eyes closed, he opened his mouth unconsciously, inhaling and exhaling as a faint dragon roar could be heard. After an unknown amount of time, Guian gradually awoke. He opened his eyes, and what greeted his sight was the dim forest outside the window. It was night. Guian had completely inherited all the cultivation memories of the Dragon Strength Divine Primordial skill, and he even had direct mastery of the technique. The Dragon Strength Divine Primordial skill was a cultivation technique based on the training of the dragon turtle. It could conceal breath, hide cultivation level, and also train the strength of a dragon. The energy nurturing skill was part of the foundational cultivation technique of the Dragon Strength Divine Primordial skill. Lifespan evolution was equivalent to deducing an incomplete technique to a complete one. Guian suspected that the Dragon Strength Divine Primordial skill originally existed and that the Supreme Sect only obtained fragments, hence naming it the Energy Nurturing skill. If he invested another 300 years of lifespan, what kind of transformation would the Dragon Strength Divine Primordial skill undergo? Guian forcibly suppressed the impulse to invest more lifespan, feeling his own physique. He could sense a dominant strength within his body, making him feel immensely powerful. He felt as if he could shatter a pavilion with a single punch. This feeling of immense strength was truly wonderful. Moreover, his senses were significantly enhanced, allowing him to hear the breathing of Meng Lang and Li Ya. He could even hear the distant conversation between Zhang Chuanqiu and Cheng Xiandan. That demon has already killed 13 disciples, most of them servant disciples from various medicine valleys. Master, we probably cannot protect them by ourselves. It's alright, I have already requested a sect mission, and the sect will send a disciple in the Foundation establishment realm to guard our medicine valley. That would be great. This afternoon, there was an unusual fluctuation in the spiritual energy within the valley. I thought it was the demon coming. To my shame, I didn't even dare to step outside. You, growing up under my wing without venturing outside, it's understandable to have a timid nature. Listening to their conversation, Guian broke into a cold sweat. He was too careless. In the future he must not act rashly when deducing techniques. Luckily, Zhang Chunqi's cultivation level was low, otherwise Guian's cultivation would have been exposed. Listening for a while longer and confirming that Cheng Xiandan and Zhang Chuanqiu were not discussing him, Guian finally relaxed. He continued to feel his new physique, while following the technique of the Dragon Strength Divine Primordial skill, suppressing his breath and chi blood, making his appearance look no different from when he had not cultivated, still seemingly weak. An ancient hour later, Guian opened his eyes and pulled up his attribute panel. Name, Guian, Lifespan, 16/402, Spirit Root, Better 5 Element Spirit Root can invest lifespan for evolution. Cultivation level, not in the mainstream can invest lifespan for evolution. Cultivation techniques, Fire Control Art, unaccomplished, Springwood Skill, unaccomplished, Dragon Strength Divine Primordial Skill, Mastery, can invest lifespan for evolution. Dragon Strength Divine Primordial Skill, Mastery. Guian read this with satisfaction, though it was a pity that the Dragon Strength Divine Primordial Skill was a body cultivation method and could not cultivate spiritual power, so his cultivation level remained outside the mainstream. Even so, Guian believed he could easily overpower those in the energy cultivation realm. Next he could wait for his lifespan to increase. His Dragon Strength Divine Primordial Skill had reached perfection, with strength energy surging within, automatically enhancing his lifespan, although the speed of increase was yet to be determined. That night, Guian found it hard to sleep. However, even after waiting until dawn, repeatedly refreshing the attribute panel, he saw no increase in lifespan and had to console himself that no technique could increase a year's lifespan in a single day. Indeed, the heavens would not disappoint those who invested lifespan. There would eventually be a surprise. Guian freshened up briefly, then stepped out of his room to stroll around the garden, looking at the medicinal herbs to calm his mind. Coincidentally, as he arrived at the garden, his gaze locked onto a white-furred rat. It was the same rat that had gnawed on the calming grass before. Guian looked around, confirming that no one else had left their rooms in the Medicine Valley, and he quietly approached the white-furred rat. The white-furred rat had its back to him, 10 meters away, unaware of someone approaching. When they were within 7 steps, Guian shot forward like an arrow, quickly grasping the white-furred rat with his right hand. The white-furred rat was terrified, lifting its tiny paws in surrender. Daring to steal my life, humph, you're done for. Guan chuckled triumphantly. As he captured the white-furred rat, he noticed its slow reaction. Too slow. Chapter 4 Demon of Greed. Was noon. Guan, Meng Lang and Leah stood in front of a wooden fence in a garden. Meng Lang stared curiously at the white-haired mouse in Guan's hand. Leah pondered and said, "This should be a white spirit rat. They are very interested in treasures filled with spiritual energy, hence the name treasure-hunting rat. It can barely be considered a spirit beast." Hearing this, Meng Lang couldn't help but ask, "What's the difference between a spirit beast and a demon beast?" Demon beasts are formed through self-cultivation, while spirit beasts are born with the ability to perceive nature's spiritual energy. They can also cultivate, but their aura isn't as bloody as demon energy. To put it simply, spirit beasts are not as dangerous as demon beasts, Leah explained. Upon hearing this, Guan suddenly didn't want to kill the mouse anymore. Meng Lang became more interested and chuckled, "Guan, why not give me this mouse?" Guan raised an eyebrow, inwardly cursing the audacity of the beast. Leah said coldly, "White spirit rats generally don't live alone. If there's one, it means there's a nest nearby. Go catch one yourself. It's a bit degrading to snatch a mouse." Meng Lang's face turned red with anger and he snorted, "Catch it? I will catch it." With that he turned and left. Once he was far away, Guan said to Leah, "Thank you." Guan found that although Leah appeared cold, he was actually quite easy to get along with. He was generous and didn't mind Guan watching him practice swordsmanship. Moreover, today he spoke up for him. If Leah hadn't said anything, Guan would have been in big trouble. If he had made Meng Lang cry, the commotion would definitely have been huge because of the boy's loud voice. Leah looked at Guan, studying him carefully, and said softly, "It feels as if you've had some changes lately, but I can't pinpoint exactly what." He suddenly grabbed Guan's wrist with his right hand. His speed seemed slow in Guan's eyes, but Guan didn't dodge. Instead, he pretended to be surprised. "Brotherly, what are you doing?" "Nothing." Leah withdrew his right hand. After hesitating for a moment, he added, "Your aura is stable and your body has no major issues, except you have no spiritual power. Even if your aptitude is mediocre, don't forget to cultivate. As long as one works hard, there is hope." Guan nodded and began to chat casually with him. Leah seemed to be in a good mood and was very talkative today. Through him, Guan gained more knowledge about the world of immortal cultivation. One had to admit, imperial family disciples were different. Even without traveling the world, they were still well-read and knowledgeable. Half an hour later, Meng Lang walked rapidly towards them. "Something big has happened," Meng Lang said in a low, tense voice as he approached Guan. Guan looked up towards the entrance of Medicine Valley. Leah asked, "What happened?" Meng Lang's eyes widened as he said, "There's a cultivator guarding the valley entrance. I went up to ask a few questions and he said he's an inner sect disciple and has taken up our master's bounty mission to guard us for 1 month. I guess our master issued the mission because of the mysterious demon mentioned earlier. If that inner sect disciple can't stop the demon, wouldn't we be doomed?" Guan could already see the figure of the inner sect disciple from a distance. With his current eyesight he could make out the man's features. It was a young man wearing a blue robe. He looked graceful and distinguished, obviously not an ordinary person. Chu Jingfeng, Foundation Establishment Realm, First Layer 19/290/870, 19 years old and already at the Foundation Establishment Realm, First Layer? A genius. No wonder he became an inner sect disciple. Guan looked at the probing prompt in front of him and was filled with emotion. The Supreme Sect indeed lived up to its reputation as the foremost sect of the Taizong dynasty, filled with geniuses. Leah and Meng Lang began discussing the mysterious demon. Meng Lang thought it was absurd. How could there be a demon in such a powerful sect as the Supreme Sect? It's already been half a month and they haven't caught it yet. Leah thought it was normal. According to him, the Supreme Sect was too big and Medicine Valley was in a remote area. It was normal for disciples to encounter danger. 800 years ago, there was an instance where a demon cultivator invaded the Supreme Sect, killing hundreds of disciples before leaving at will. That demon might know some secret techniques, making it hard to capture, Leah said with a melancholic tone. Not only in the Supreme Sect, but there's no absolutely safe place in the whole world. Every year, the dynasty provides enormous amounts of spirit resources to the demon-suppressing mansions across various regions. Leah began talking about the world, which intrigued Guan and Meng Lang. They listened intently. Guan's G family was a cultivation family, so Guan, who grew up in the G family, had little knowledge of the world. This was the first time he realized how dangerous the world was. Demons and evil spirits were everywhere, and 7 out of 10 immortal cultivators died at the hands of demons and evil spirits. After hearing this, Guan became even more fearful. In the future he absolutely couldn't venture out. He had to stay in the Supreme Sect and accumulate lifespan. Live cautiously for 1,000 or 10,000 years until the Supreme Sect collapses. But our Medicine Valley has so many medicinal herbs and is very significant. Why did the sect only send one inner sect disciple to protect us? Meng Lang said indignantly. Leah shook his head. There are more than 50 such medicine valleys in the Supreme Sect. The herbs grown here are not considered precious. Inside the Supreme Sect, there are more valuable medicine valleys where every plant can change a mortal's fate. Hearing this, Guan's eyes lit up, and he began to inquire more about that medicine valley. However, Leah only knew of its existence and wasn't clear about the details. The three chatted for a while before parting ways. They each had to inspect their respective areas regularly to prevent any unexpected situations with the herbs. After the inspections they returned to their rooms. Guan tied a rope around the white spirit rat to prevent it from escaping. He sat cross-legged on the bed with the white spirit rat on his leg, and then began to cultivate. He practiced the dragon strength divine primordial skill, which could enhance chi and lifespan. As for other cultivation techniques he couldn't be bothered. Once he extended his lifespan he could sacrifice it directly. When night fell, Medicine Valley became unusually quiet. With his heightened senses, Guan could hear Qing Xiandan and the inner sect disciple Chu Jingfeng having a conversation a few hundred feet away. Qing Xiandan was very respectful to Chu Jingfeng, as if Chu Jingfeng was more than just an inner sect disciple. Through their conversation, Guan learned the name of the demon. Demon of Greed. Chu Jingfeng was very disdainful of the demon of greed, and his confident tone reassured Qing Xiandan. Guan could clearly feel Qing Xuandan's heartbeat returning to normal. Demon of Greed. Guan's eyes flickered with curiosity, wondering if his dragon strength divine primordial skill could eradicate the demon of greed. According to the inherited memory of the dragon strength divine primordial skill, its dragon strength could subdue demons and exorcise evil spirits. He had to prepare for the worst. What if Chu Jingfeng couldn't hold them off? No matter how long his lifespan was, he had only one life. He couldn't take the risk. That night, everyone's aura in Medicine Valley was unstable, clearly affected by their emotions, which made Guan even more nervous. It wasn't until dawn that Guan finally fell asleep. In the following 5 days, the demon of greed did not appear, and Guan gradually relaxed. On the 6th day, as usual, Guan went back to his room to rest after nightfall. This time he brought back 4 travelogues from the library to learn more about the world. The white spirit rat scurried out from under the bed, quickly jumped onto the table. Ever since it experienced the aura of Guan cultivating the dragon strength divine primordial skill, it became reliant on Guan. Now even if it wasn't tied it wouldn't run away. Guan sat at the table, teased the white spirit rat, and then began reading a book titled Green Hero Travelogue. The window was half open, and the eerie night wind blew in, causing the oil lamp flame to flicker and the shadow of the white spirit rat on the table to stretch and contract. Guan found the travelogue to be quite interesting. Though it was filled with tales of men and women's affairs, the green hero traveled the world, appreciated the scenery from north to south, vanquished demons, and had many fleeting romances. By late at night, Guan felt something was amiss. How did every woman the green hero met fall for him? This guy always pretended to be troubled, yet willingly went along with them. Was this written by a scholar? Guan silently despised the author but still read with great interest. Whoosh! A blast of cold wind blew in from the window. Even Guan, who had cultivated the dragon strength divine primordial skill, shivered. He put down the book, got up to close the window. Before he reached the window he suddenly heard some noise from afar. He stopped and listened carefully. You demon! Chu Jingfeng's low shout made Guan's hair stand on end. The demon of greed had arrived? But Chu Jingfeng didn't seem scared, he was excited and reliable. Guan's heart had just started to settle when he heard Chu Jingfeng scream. Frightened, he rushed to close the window and blew out the oil lamp. Guan retreated to a corner of the room. The white spirit rat sensed something, quickly jumping into his arms. The little beast was trembling too. Its trembling intensified Guan's fear. From childhood to adulthood, Guan had never encountered a demon or evil spirit. The G family was too safe. As a child, the scariest thing he encountered were the court guardians who were like Zhang Fei and Li Kuei. Chu Jingfeng, you better live up to your boast. And Liya next door, I see you have unique talent and a special life grid. You're like the protagonist from a novel, slaying that demon and rising to greatness. Guan tried to calm himself. He clenched his fists, already gathering dragon strength within himself. Soon he heard the door next door being pushed open. It was Liya who charged out with a sword to assist Chu Jingfeng. As for Meng Lang, he was even more pathetic than Guan, hiding under the bed, making Guan almost curse out loud in his panic. This guy usually put on such airs, calling himself the big brother, but turned out to be a coward in real danger. Thinking of this, Guan felt each passing second was a torment. In his perception, Chu Jingfeng's aura suddenly vanished, whether dead or alive unknown. Demon. Stop right there. Li Ya's voice was caught by Guan, making him shiver. Was the demon planning to eat them? Then there was a loud thud and Li Ya's voice went silent. Game over already? So weak? Guan's heart pounded like a drum, impossible to calm down. Cheng Xiandan and Zhang Chuanqiu hid in their respective rooms, pretending not to hear anything despite the commotion. Like master, like disciple. Outside there was an eerie silence. Even with Guan's heightened senses, he couldn't detect the movements and aura of the demon of greed. Chapter 5. That's it? The night was silent, with the sound of a pin dropping. Leaning against the wall, Guan cursed inwardly. Why was his heartbeat so fast? For some unknown reason, although he could not hear anything outside, he had an inexplicable feeling that the demon of greed was approaching his house. His eyes moved back and forth between the door and the window. The moonlight seeped through the cracks so bright, it was terrifyingly bright. The white spirit rat trembled, making Guan's chest itch. He wanted to throw it out, but he couldn't bear to. Time slowly passed as Guan held his breath and focused his attention. Guan had never longed for daylight to come as much as he did now. This supreme sect was not safe at all. From now on he would have to accumulate more lifespan, grow stronger quietly, and never stop improving his strength. Guan's mind wandered aimlessly. He didn't know how much time had passed when his gaze suddenly fixed on the threshold of the door. The door was less than a meter to his left. The threshold, illuminated by the moonlight, had a shadow appearing in the crack. At that moment his scalp tingled. The demon of greed was coming. Guan's heart raced up to his throat, his whole body tensed. He even felt the urge to rush out. Suddenly, Guan's body stiffened. He felt a wet hand press down on his head. Sharp nails dug into his forehead, sending chills down his spine. His mind went blank in an instant. He cautiously looked up and saw a pale arm emerging from the darkness above his head, like a woman's arm, with a hand pressing down on his head, nails sharp like claws. The owner of the arm reached out from the darkness. A hideous face with disheveled hair appeared, its true features obscured, only the blood-dripping fangs visible. She was smiling. Damn. Guan was completely terrified. He lifted his arm and slapped it angrily, hitting the face of the demon of greed. Bang. The roof of the house was blown open, blood and flesh splashed inside. Shards of tiles and turf from the roof flew up tens of meters high, disappearing into the night. The night sky was so dark, the mountains and forests surrounding Medicine Valley stood like demons and ghosts. Huff huff huff. Guan panted heavily, his raised right arm trembling. His hand was covered with blood, and the blood of the demon of greed splattered all over his face. When everything quieted down, Guan still couldn't calm down. Moonlight poured down, shining into the house. A huge bloodstain blossomed on the wall, horrifying and terrifying. A pale severed arm lay at Guan's feet. After a dozen breaths, Guan finally calmed down. You have successfully taken 52 years of lifespan from the demon of greed, Tier 2. Looking at the prompt that popped up in front of him, he still panted heavily, but his eyes took on a quizzical look. That's it. Guan found it absurd. Was he too strong, or were Chu Jingfeng and the others too weak? Just as he was confused, he vaguely heard a door opening. He immediately lay down, closed his eyes, and hung the demon of greed's arm on himself with a swift motion. That wasn't enough. He raised his hand, pried the demon of greed's fingers open, and then clamped them around his neck. After doing all this, he spread his arms and pretended to be unconscious. Autumn was approaching and the weather was no longer so scorching hot. Guan was picking calming grass in the garden area. Liya and Meng Lang stood outside the wooden fence watching him work. Half of Liya's body was wrapped in white cloth, and there were 2 shocking scars on his face, almost reaching his right eye. It was hard to imagine what he had been through. On the other hand, Meng Lang seemed unharmed. He stared at Guan, clicking his tongue in wonder. This kid could still be so happy picking medicinal herbs as if he hadn't encountered the demon of greed. Li Ya's face was expressionless, but the scars on his face added a touch of fierceness to him. He said calmly, "Maybe he is finding joy in his suffering. How do you know he can still keep smiling after closing the door to his room? That night 4 days ago seemed like just yesterday." Li Ya recalled his fight with the demon of greed, filled with lingering fear. He survived purely by luck. Chu Jingfeng's injuries were even more serious than his, having an arm torn off. As for Qing Shendan, Zhang Chuanxiu and Meng Lang, they were all unscathed. That morning the Supreme Sect sent several cultivators. Their cultivation levels were higher than Chu Jingfeng's, the highest reaching the 9th layer of the Foundation establishment realm. They interrogated Guan thoroughly, who pretended to be traumatized, knowing nothing. In the end, those cultivators concluded that someone else must have intervened, saving the servant disciples in this part of Medicine Valley. After all, Guan had no spiritual power, so it couldn't have been him who killed the demon of greed. Afterward, Guan intentionally switched to a different house. Zhang Chuanxiu treated him even better, seeming very guilty. While Li Ya and Meng Lang discussed Guan was enjoying the pleasure of harvesting the lifespan from second-tier medicinal herbs. Second-tier herbs could bring him 2 to 5 years of lifespan. He was helping Li Ya and Meng Lang pick a total of 60 second-tier herbs this time, which was immensely satisfying. Simultaneously, he couldn't help but think of the demon of greed. Killing the demon of greed gave him 52 years of lifespan. Wouldn't that mean exterminating demons and ghosts could bring him even more lifespan? But as he thought of that terrifying night and the injuries of Chu Jingfeng and Li Ya, he immediately abandoned the idea. No need. He wasn't in a hurry to get stronger, so why risk his life? Yes. He needed to develop quietly with caution. After a while, Guan finally finished picking all 60 calming grass. He carried the bamboo basket to Meng Lang, ready to hand it over. Meng Lang fake coughed and said, "This time, you should hand it over to senior brother yourself." Recalling his pathetic performance that night, he felt ashamed to claim any credit from Guan. Guan didn't decline, smiling, "All right." He politely nodded at Li Ya, then walked toward Zhang Chunqi's pavilion. Li Ya did not linger either, turning toward the distant forest, while Meng Lang watched back and forth, awkwardly scratching his nose. In the main hall, Guan handed all the calming grass to Zhang Chuanxiu. Zhang Chuanxiu didn't let him leave immediately but pulled him aside, asking with concern if he had been sleeping well recently. Every time Zhang Chuanxiu thought of Guan being choked by the demon of greed, he felt guilty. As the senior brother, he couldn't protect his junior disciple, which made him feel utterly useless. Guan had always been so obedient and compliant. If this junior disciple died, honestly, even thinking about it made him sad. By the way, regarding the matter of the demon of greed, don't mention it again. Today when I went to the outer sect, I heard that the demon was raised by a senior within our sect. This matter cannot be spread, just pretend it never happened, Zhang Chuanxiu said seriously. Hearing this, Guan couldn't help but frown. So that's how it was. No wonder the demon could move around so freely for so long. Zhang Chuanxiu seemed uneasy, adding, "Such a senior is not someone we can offend. With just one word they could make our entire Medicine Valley disappear. You come from humble beginnings, you should understand best the disparity brought by status and power. Only by enduring can we survive." He then raised his hand, taking out a secret book from his chest. "This is a secret technique prepared for you by our master. It cost our master 5 years of sect contributions to obtain. After all, you indeed suffered an injustice." Guan immediately beamed with joy, accepting the secret book and seeing the characters on the cover. Residual wind leg. "Thank you, senior brother, thank you, master." Guan bowed deeply in gratitude. Zhang Chuanxiu blinked and smiled, "Practice more when you have time. You might be able to protect yourself in the future. Don't give this secret book to Meng Lang. As for Li Ya, he has shown extraordinary talent. Master has decided to help him break through to the Foundation establishment realm. In 2 years at most, he'll be leaving Medicine Valley." Upon hearing this, Guan was not surprised. Someone with Li Ya's cultivation level staying in Medicine Valley was indeed a waste. Afterward, Zhang Chuanxiu exchanged a few pleasantries with Guan before allowing him to leave. As Guan closed the door behind him, Zhang Chuanxiu sighed softly, "Such an honest child, he will surely take care of master in the future. I can also go down the mountain." Lotus, wait for me. As Guan was descending the stairs, his steps faltered for a moment before he resumed walking. The demon of greed's attack did not kill anyone in Medicine Valley, but it changed the atmosphere. Leah became increasingly mysterious, often hiding in the forest after completing his tasks, and even Ming Lang began to practice diligently. Guan practiced the secret technique Residual Wind Leg for a month before he managed to barely display it on his skills panel. This frustrated him, and he decided to give up on the technique, planning to rely on lifespan extension in the future. Days and nights passed, autumn leaves covered Medicine Valley. Gu An's figure constantly appeared in various garden areas, making him the busiest person in Medicine Valley. Zhang Chuanxiu trusted him more and no longer supervised his work. As for Qing Xiandan, he was always confined in his room, focusing on alchemy, often unseen for months. Autumn ended and winter arrived. White snow blanketed Medicine Valley. A new year began amid the snow. It wasn't until the snow started to melt that visitors came to the valley, specifically to find Guan inside his house. Guan closed the door, walked to the table and poured hot tea for the young man already seated. The young man, wearing the blue robe of the Supreme Sect's outer disciples, looked around the room and asked, "How has the past year and a half been for you?" 5 among those who followed Ji Xiaoyu into the Supreme Sect included Guan and the young man before him, both house servants. The young man's name was Du Yi with 4 spirit roots qualification. With the help of the Ji family, he had joined the Supreme Sect's outer sect. After more than a year apart, his entire demeanor had changed. "It was all right," Guan responded casually. Di looked at him, shook his head slightly and said, You insisted on coming here back then. With the influence of the third miss and the Ji family, it wouldn't have been difficult to get you into the outer sect. Why come here to suffer, with no hope of cultivation in sight?" Guan looked at his own nearly 1,000 years of lifespan compared to Du Yi's less than 150, and smiled, "My qualifications are mediocre. I'm afraid of death and pain. This quiet place suits me better." Du Yi chuckled and then criticized him a bit more before finally revealing his purpose. Young Master Ji Lin plans to establish a presence within the Supreme Sect for the third miss and build a network. We need to contribute as well. You should gather medicinal herbs regularly. I will come every 6 months to collect them. These herbs can be used by young Master Ji Lin to build connections with other disciples. All right, no problem, Guan agreed readily. Medicinal herbs weren't particularly important to him anyway. Seeing Guan so agreeable, Di smiled. They chatted for a while longer before Guan escorted Du Yi to the entrance of the valley, then turned back. Upon returning to the courtyard, Guan saw Leah waiting for him. Leah approached Guan, placing a secret book in his hands. "I'm leaving. Take this sword technique as a farewell gift, thanking you for all you've done for me over the past year and a half." Chapter 6: A Fat Outer Disciple. Guan caught the secret book, feeling a subtle emotion in his heart. Although he had known for a long time that Leah was leaving, hearing it for real made him feel a bit reluctant. In this Medicine Valley he had only 2 friends, as he didn't talk much with Qing Xiandan and Zhang Chuanxiu. Leah was much better than Meng Lang. Meng Lang was just a beast. "Are you about to reach Foundation establishment?" Guan asked. He had used lifespan detection to see that Li Ya's cultivation level had already reached the 9th layer of the Qi cultivation realm, a very rapid breakthrough. Could it be that there was a master in the forest guiding him? Or perhaps, was there an old grandfather's soul persecuted by evil people hidden inside Li Ya? Li Ya nodded and said, "I plan to attempt Foundation establishment next month." He paused for a moment and then said seriously, "This farewell, we may never meet again. In this Medicine Valley, don't be too submissive to Meng Lang, that will make him fawn over you. In the future, Medicine Valley will surely have other disciples. As a senior brother, you must have your own temper." Guan was speechless. How did it happen that 2 people lectured him in one day? But compared to Du Yi, Leah seemed more sincere. Guan suddenly felt reluctant. From childhood to adulthood, he had always been treading on thin ice in the Ji family, never having real friends, only those whom he tried to please. Never had he had a friend like Li Ya who would give him gifts. He understood that Li Ya's words would come true. This parting might be for a lifetime. Guan couldn't help but say, "You too, don't be so reckless as before. Living is the most important thing. You have ascended from a servant disciple to the verge of Foundation establishment in less than 2 years. Your talent is undoubtedly top tier. As long as you stay alive, you will surely become a top great cultivator famed across the world." Leah heard his words and couldn't help but smile. The 2 stood in the courtyard chatting. Before long Ming Lang returned, and upon hearing that Li Ye was leaving, he too became quite downcast. In the end Li Ye still left. After saying goodbye to Guan, he went to visit Qing Xiandan, and finally, Zhang Chuanxiu took him away from Medicine Valley. The winter snow had not yet fully melted, making the Medicine Valley quite desolate. In his spare time, Guan began to practice the sword manual given by Li Ye. He had modest pursuits. He didn't aim to master it but at least to become proficient enough to have it appear on his attribute panel. It took time for cultivation techniques and secret books to appear on the attribute panel. Guan didn't want to be caught unprepared in a dangerous situation, realizing too late that he hadn't cultivated enough. The sword manual given by Li Ye was called the Li Family 7 Swords. The name was very ordinary, but Guan knew this Li family represented the Taizong dynasty's imperial family, so he practiced very earnestly. Winter passed and spring brought new life to Medicine Valley. After Li Ye left, Zhang Chuanxiu brought back another person, a 14-year-old boy named Xiaochuan. Xiaochuan was a solitary boy. After entering the Medicine Valley, he seldom communicated with Guan and Meng Lang. After Guan helped him pick medicinal herbs several times, Xiaochuan developed a liking for him, and gradually they talked more, although Xiaochuan still remained mostly silent. As summer arrived, Guan learned from his attribute panel that he had turned 17. From childhood he had never known his exact birthday, nor did he care. Compared to his birthday, Guan was more eager to know when he could pick third-grade medicinal herbs. Most of the medicinal herbs in Medicine Valley required years to be ready for harvesting, so his lifespan didn't always increase steadily and had begun slowing down recently. One day, Zhang Chuanxiu found Guan junior brother Gu. "I have a task here with considerable reward. Are you willing to take it?" Zhang Chuanxiu asked with a smile. Guan raised an eyebrow. "Tasks within the Medicine Valley?" He resisted his reluctance and asked, "Dare I ask, senior brother, what is the task?" "An outer disciple is about to go out for training and won't return for 2 years. The task is to look after the medicinal herbs in his cave. When he returns he will reward you with 10 mid-grade spirit stones," Zhang Chuanxiu said with a smile. Guan was immediately tempted. The grades of spirit stones from low to high are low grade, mid-grade, top grade and supreme grade. Each level is worth 100 times more than the previous one. One mid-grade spirit stone is equivalent to 100 low-grade spirit stones, and Guan's monthly salary was only 1 low-grade spirit stone. This task was equivalent to gaining 1,000 low-grade spirit stones over 2 years. How could he not be tempted? Guan hesitated and asked, "Can that senior be trusted?" Zhang Chuanxiu was taken aback, then laughed heartily. He said with approval, "Good junior brother Gu, you are cautious. Rest assured that person is an old friend of mine. We entered the Supreme Sect the same year. He chose you because you are diligent and honest. If it were Meng Lang I wouldn't be so sure. And his cave is not far from our Medicine Valley, only a dozen miles away. You just need to go twice a month." Guan hesitated for a while but eventually agreed. He hadn't had a chance to pick medicinal herbs for half a month. Watching his lifespan not increase made him miserable. He missed the feeling of living 100 years very much. The Dragon Strength Divine Primordial skill only granted him a year's worth of lifespan each month. Without the golden finger to seize lifespans, he would be quite satisfied, but now he was very greedy. Moreover, he didn't even know how long the effects of the Dragon Strength Divine Primordial skill would last, as everything had its limits. Zhang Chuanxiu saw that he agreed and directly led him outside the valley. Guan had not left the Medicine Valley in 2 years. Now, leaving the valley made him somewhat nervous. As he walked out of the valley entrance, he saw endless mountains and forests. Sunshine poured through the woods, forming circles of rainbow light, particularly beautiful. Zhang Chuanxiu patted his waist, and a long sword flew out from his storage bag. He grabbed Guan's arm and leapt onto the sword, then began flying with sword control. Guan hugged his waist tightly, frightened, while the hot summer wind ruffled his black hair, and his eyes were filled with admiration. Flying with sword control, this was the standard for cultivators. He never thought Zhang Chuanxiu had this skill. Zhang Chuanxiu felt the strength in his arm and laughed aloud. "Junior brother Gu, you better open your eyes wide and remember the way back. You'll have to make this journey yourself in the future." Guan couldn't help but ask, "Senior brother, can you teach me this sword control technique? You need to cultivate diligently. Once you reach the 4th layer of the Qi cultivation realm, I will teach you sword control." The 4th layer of the Qi cultivation realm. As long as you work hard, you will achieve the 4th layer of the Qi cultivation realm in due time. Zhang Chuanxiu couldn't help but straighten his back and revealed a bright smile. He thought to himself, in junior brother Gus' eyes, I must appear very imposing now. I hope he truly gets motivated and stops being lazy in his cultivation. In his eyes, Guan was good at everything except for his lack of interest in cultivation. During his free time this kid loved reading books. Guan found it quite ridiculous. Was reaching the 4th layer of the Qi cultivation realm that difficult? If I put 100 years of my life into it, would it work? If not, then 500 years. If 500 years wouldn't do, then, what a joke. The two brothers chatted as they flew on the sword. Soon they landed in a forest. After landing, Guan still reminisced about the feeling of flying in the sky. Zhang Chuanxiu led Guan through a dense forest to a rock wall. He took out a jade pendant and pressed it into a recess in the rock wall. The cave has restrictions. You must bring this jade pendant when you come and don't lose it. It will be very troublesome if you do, Zhang Chuanxiu instructed. Guan nodded. The rock wall trembled, revealing a stone gate, which then opened. Zhang Chuanxiu took the jade pendant and led Guan inside. The two disappeared into the darkness. After several breaths, the stone gate closed with a boom. This cave was more spacious than Guan had imagined. The passage alone was 5 zhang long. They entered a large chamber, and Guan's eyes were drawn to a section growing medicinal herbs. Those herbs were densely planted, at least 100 in number, occupying most of the chamber's space. With Guan's current knowledge, he could see that these herbs were of a high grade at a glance. The outer disciples of the Supreme Sect were this wealthy? Zhang Chuanxiu began instructing Guan on which herbs should be picked and the specific process for cultivating various herbs. This cave had its own restriction and wasn't short on water, but too much water could cause the herbs to die. Some herbs would ignite spiritual energy flames if not picked in time, destroying all the herbs. There were also seeds on the table. After harvesting, Guan had to continue planting. The outer disciple had already prepared some spirit protection paper, which was also placed on the table. Alright, I will leave first. When you are done, come back by yourself. See if you can find your way back. If you haven't returned to the Medicine Valley by evening, I will come looking for you. Zhang Chuanxiu patted Guan on the shoulder and handed him the jade pendant. Guan did not neglect his manners and sent Zhang Chuanxiu out before returning to the cave. He did not immediately pick the herbs but looked around the cave chamber. The setting was simple, with only a stone bed, a stone table, 2 stone stools, and some books hidden in the cave wall, covered by vines. Guan had no intention of reading the books. What if the cultivator had set up a monitoring restriction? Silently earning longevity was good enough. There's no need to stir up trouble. Guan began picking the mature herbs. You successfully seized 9 years of life from spirit flame grass, 3rd grade. Hiss, 3rd grade herb. Guan suddenly wondered if his understanding of herb grades was wrong or if the outer sect had significantly higher standards than the Medicine Valley. Forget it, just enjoy it. The first batch of herbs to be picked consisted of 11 plants, giving him an additional 89 years of life, bringing his total lifespan to 1,264 years. Guan used lifespan detection to survey the area and even saw a 4th grade spirit herb. This outer disciple was quite wealthy. Guan was delighted. Maintaining a good relationship with such a wealthy employer meant potential long-term cooperation in the future. Wait, could he also perform such tasks for other Supreme Sect disciples? After all, going out for training was something all disciples experienced. No, I should complete this task first. One step at a time. What if I encounter evil people who want to extort me? As a servant disciple, if he clashed with official disciples, he would certainly be the one to suffer. Guan carefully planted the spirit flame grass seeds, intending to do his job well. After 30 minutes, Guan left the cave. After closing the cave gate, he headed toward the Medicine Valley. He feared encountering demons like the demon of greed again, so he walked quickly. Thanks to the dragon strength divine primordial skill, Guan returned to the valley entrance in an hour. Before he could get close, he saw someone. Chu Jingfeng. Chu Jingfeng, with his right arm severed, looked weathered, wearing a black robe, a far cry from his former self. Chapter 7 3,000 Years Lifespan, Crisis Reborn. When Guan saw Chu Jingfeng also saw him. Just as Guan was about to quicken his steps to greet him, Chu Jingfeng leapt up, reaching several yards high, and landed in front of him like a great bird. You're Guan, right? I have something to ask you, Chu Jingfeng said in a deep voice. Guan pretended to be nervous and saluted, replying, Yes, senior, what do you want to ask? I will answer truthfully. Seeing Guan being so honest, Chu Jingfeng's expression softened as he said softly, You have seen the demon of greed. She even squeezed your neck. Do you remember her face? Guan shook his head and said, That night the house wasn't lit, so I couldn't see her face clearly. As soon as she appeared, I fainted from fright. Saying this, he secretly circulated his chi blood inside, making his face flush instantly. Seeing him so embarrassed, Chu Jingfeng's anger dissipated significantly. What am I doing making things difficult for a servant disciple? Chu Jingfeng thought self-mockingly. His expression became gentle as he said, If you remember anything or encounter anything, you can contact me. With that, he took out a spirit stone the size of an egg and said, This is a special spirit stone. You can communicate with me by injecting spiritual power into it. He tossed the spirit stone to Guan, then leapt up. A long sword flew out from his waist, and he stepped on the sword, rushing out of the woods with falling leaves around. It was unclear if it was an illusion, but Guan always felt that he had become stronger after losing his arm. Guan didn't think much about it, holding the spirit stone, and walked towards Medicine Valley. Sigh, when will I ever have my own storage bag? The young man walked on the hillside in the woods, the dappled sunlight falling on him, as if he were cloaked in a colorful garment. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye 2 years had passed. 19-year-old Guan walked in the woods. He looked a bit taller than 2 years ago, and his body was sturdier. Even though he wore simple cloth clothes, he looked clean overall. His eyes were particularly bright, his long hair casually tied at the back with a piece of straw rope, and 2 locks of fine hair falling on his forehead, exuding a free and unrestrained demeanor. Behind him followed a boy with an ordinary appearance, a head shorter than him, carrying a bamboo basket, wiping his sweat as he walked. Brother, how much further? Xiao Chuan asked weakly. He was the only one in the Medicine Valley who was junior to Guan. He usually liked to stick to Guan. Upon hearing that Guan handled the cave for the outer disciples, he begged for a long time until Guan finally agreed to take him this time. Guan agreed to take him for his own considerations. Because yesterday Zhang Chuanxiu said that the owner of the cave had returned. To prevent accidents, he decided to bring Xiao Chuan along. If the other party had malicious intent, seeing another person there might make them hesitate. Guan didn't want to harm Xiao Chuan. If something really happened, his dragon strength divine primordial skill was not practiced in vain. Almost there. Guan said without looking back. Honestly, he began to understand why Zhang Chuanxiu liked him. Having such an obedient junior was really reassuring. Xiao Chuan wailed, having heard these 2 words no less than 8 times. Had he known this, he wouldn't have come. Several miles were not short for ordinary people. Added with rough mountain paths and hot weather, Xiao Chuan felt he was on the verge of death. Guan didn't continue to comfort him because they were really close. After about the time it took for half a cup of tea to be drunk, Guan pushed aside the grass and came to the mountain wall. He didn't directly open the mountain gate but instead clasped his fists and said, Junior Guan, here to return the jade pendant of the cave to the senior. Xiao Chuan stood on the other side of the grass, curiously looking at the mountain wall. His background was no better than Guan's, with little knowledge of the immortal cultivation world. In his eyes, outer sect disciples of the supreme sect were already big figures. Rumble, the mountain gate opened and a hoarse voice came from inside, Come in. Guan turned to Xiao Chuan and said, Wait for me outside. Naturally, Xiao Chuan didn't dare to follow in. Seeing the spectacle of the cave opening, he already felt it was worthwhile. Guan stepped towards the cave. Compared to 2 years ago, he was more confident. His confidence came from the lifespan he accumulated. His lifespan had reached over 3,400 years. Besides the medicinal herbs in the cave, these 2 years, Qing Xindan also began instructing him to pick 3rd-grade medicinal herbs, so his lifespan increased rapidly. People's confidence comes from strength. Although Guan had only cultivated a trace of spiritual power, he was already vastly different from before. Passing through the tunnel, Guan saw a person sitting at the stone table. It was a middle-aged man, slim, his robe seemed loose on him. His black and white hair, sunken eyes, and prominent cheekbones gave an impression of deep scheming. At the first glance of him, Guan felt that this person was not kind. Zhu Moyan, Energy Cultivation Realm, 9th layer 58/130/140. This lifespan limit was not even as high as Zhang Chunkius, indicating his aptitude was not as good as Zhang Chunkius. The reason why his cultivation level was higher than Zhang Chunkius was probably due to the elixir. Guan speculated in his heart. He quickly walked to Zhu Moyan and took out the jade pendant of the cave, offering it with both hands. Zhu Moyan took back the jade pendant and said softly, "You did well, I am satisfied. Here is a bag with 10 mid-grade spirit stones, take it." He picked up a cloth bag on the table and handed it to Guan. Guan respectfully accepted the cloth bag, secretly weighing it, and then thanked Zhu Moyan. "You may go now." Zhu Moyan waved his hand. Guan nodded, saluting again, then turned to leave. As he turned, his sharp eyes caught something. His reaction was quick, immediately casting a lifespan detection spell. Demon of Greed, 2nd grade 31/140/180. Guan maintained a calm demeanor, quickly leaving. Zhu Moyan watched Guanis back, his eyes turning cold. When he heard the sound of the mountain gate closing, he snorted coldly and murmured, "Lucky for you." The outer disciples' cave restrictions were very low level, essentially magical mechanisms. Thus, even outside the cave, Guan heard Zhu Moyan's muttering, which made him even more uneasy. Indeed, there was a problem. Guan had previously suspected why the Demon of Greed didn't affect Zhu Moyan's cave along her way. It turned out this scoundrel had something to do with the Demon of Greed. "Brother, did it go well?" Xiaochuan looked at the approaching Guan with concern. Guan smiled and said, "It went well, let's go back." Xiaochuan nodded and the two walked back the way they came. After some distance, Xiaochuan started asking about the owner of the cave. Guan briefly described him, making Xiaochuan's mind race. During the remaining journey, Guan didn't pay much attention to Xiaochuan, his mind filled with thoughts of the Demon of Greed and Zhu Moyan's words. No, he couldn't ignore this, it was too dangerous. Guan thought of the spirit stone left by Chu Jingfeng and decided to seek his help. But before that, he needed to boost his strength just in case. After 3 years of not gambling his life, just thinking about it made Guan excited. The dragon strength divine primordial skill could conceal his aura. Even if he had spiritual power, it could be hidden well. This time, he planned to first enhance his cultivation level and then improve his offensive skills. Should I cultivate the residual wind leg or the Li family's 7 swords? Guan began to ponder this question. An ancient hour later, the two finally returned to Medicine Valley. Guan took Xiaochuan's bamboo basket and walked to his courtyard. The bamboo basket was full of common herbs they had picked along the way. Exhausted, Xiaochuan had no energy for anything else and also headed straight to his courtyard. Guan returned to his room, closed the door, and placed the bamboo basket and cloth bag on the table before heading to his bed. He took a deep breath, first sensing the auras of others in Medicine Valley. Meng Lang was practicing spells in the woods. Cheng Shendan was refining elixirs, and Zhang Chuanxiu was struggling to absorb energy. It seemed no one was paying attention to him. Guan called up his attribute panel. Name, Guan, lifespan, 19/3463, spirit root, 5 elements, decent spirit root, can invest lifespan to evolve cultivation. Cultivation level, energy cultivation realm, first layer, can invest lifespan to evolve cultivation. Cultivation techniques. Fire control art, not mastered. Springwood skill, not mastered. Dragon strength divine primordial skill, mastery, can invest lifespan to evolve cultivation. Ultimate skills. Residual wind leg, not mastered. Li family's 7 swords, not mastered, can invest lifespan to evolve cultivation. Guan cautiously invested a year of lifespan in evolving his cultivation level. You practice energy absorption for a year. Due to average aptitude and average cultivation technique grade, your cultivation level increased minimally. As this prompt appeared, Guan felt a change within him. A trace of spiritual power turned into 2 traces. Guan's mouth twitched. He had no choice but to focus on the springwood skill. He had only grasped this one energy absorption skill. As for the fire control art, it was a supporting skill, taught by an old slave in the Ji family when he used to collect firewood. As the name implied, it was about controlling fire. Forget it, I want wait for a higher level technique. After all, I can evolve it with lifespan. Even the most ordinary cultivation technique can become an ultimate skill for me. With this thought, Guan's eyes became resolute. He decided to invest 100 years of lifespan in evolving springwood skill. You practice springwood skill for 1 year. Due to average intelligence and aptitude, your progress in the springwood skill is minimal. You practice springwood skill for 10 years. You finally master the springwood skill. Your energy absorption speed increases. You practice springwood skill for 50 years. Your springwood skill significantly improves, achieving 10 times the previous energy absorption speed. You practice springwood skill for 100 years. You gain new insights into the springwood skill, evolving it into spring origin art. A flood of memories entered Guan's mind, all about the cultivation of spring origin art. Spring origin art was far less complex than dragon strength divine primordial skill. Hence, it didn't take long for Guan to open his eyes. Upon opening his eyes, he first listened to the sounds in Medicine Valley. Xiaochuan was already asleep, and the others were busy with their own activities, not paying attention to him. Now a dilemma arose. Should he continue enhancing spring origin art, or evolve his cultivation level with spring origin art? The higher his cultivation technique's achievement, the faster his cultivation level would increase, saving lifespan investment. After much thought, Guan concluded that the cultivation technique was paramount and couldn't be taken lightly. He decided to invest 1,000 years in it first. Chapter 8 Divine Wood Pure Yang Skill, Position of Eldest Senior Brother. Guan did not immediately invest his lifespan in cultivation and training, afraid the movement might be too great with the precedent of the Dragon Strength Divine Primordial Skill. Wait until tonight. By then, even if there was a big movement, Qing Xiandan and Zhang Chuanqiu would probably be too scared to come out of their rooms. Night quickly fell. Guan waited until Meng Lang went inside to rest before he pulled up his attribute panel. He focused his attention on the spring origin art and chose to invest 1,000 years of lifespan to evolve it. Heavenly gods bless, do not waste my 1,000-year lifespan. Guan prayed silently while rubbing the white spirit rat, hoping to get some luck from it. You have invested 1,000 years of lifespan in the spring origin art to evolve and cultivate it. You practiced the spring origin art for a year, but due to your mediocre comprehension and qualifications, your cultivation growth is weak. You practiced the spring origin art for 10 years and reached a new realm of understanding in it. You practiced the spring origin art for 100 years and developed more ideas about it by sensing the earth and forests. You practiced the spring origin art for 200 years and your spring origin art advanced to the withered wood spring birth skill. You practiced the spring origin art for 500 years and reached the transformation realm understanding of the withered wood spring birth skill, your wood spirit root improved. You practiced the spring origin art for 800 years and by comprehending nature, your withered wood spring birth skill advanced to the divine wood pure yang skill. You practiced the spring origin art for 1,000 years and reached mastery in the divine wood pure yang skill, your wood spirit root improved. Seeing the notifications line by line, Guan caught a few key points and suddenly burst with joy, as a flood of memories surged into his mind. His consciousness immersed in the inheritance. His whole body radiated green light as wisps of forest green spiritual energy emerged from the ground inside the room. Meanwhile, Zhang Chuanqiu, who was practicing in his room, opened his eyes and looked at his windowsill. The sudden strong wind outside made his window shudder. He quickly got up and walked to the window, took a quick glance outside and promptly closed it. He hurried to the table, blew out the oil lamp and hid in bed. No, I need to leave sooner, this Medicine Valley is getting weirder and weirder. Also frightened was Meng Lang, who lay under the covers shivering. Xiaochuan, already exhausted from the day's efforts, slept like a log, snoring thunderously. Qing Xiandan meditated in front of his pill furnace, sensed the movement outside the window, and looked out at the night sky with deep eyes, showing neither fear nor curiosity, as calm as a secluded well. For a long time, Guan finally woke up, opened his eyes and felt a different world. He could distinctly feel the wood attribute spiritual energy in the air and sense the vitality of the flowers, grasses and trees. This feeling was very wonderful. At the movement of his thoughts, the previous notifications reappeared before him. Seeing his wood spirit root improve, he was delighted. Cultivation techniques could actually improve spirit roots, so no need to gamble hard on spirit root qualifications anymore. This thing was practically a bottomless pit. Guan had only tried it once but already had a psychological shadow. He tried circulating the divine wood pure yang skill, and unlike before he could instantly absorb the wood spiritual energy between heaven and earth. After entering his body, the wood spiritual energy flowed into his dantian and transformed into wood attribute spiritual power. The whole process was smooth and slick. Just one breath outperformed half a year's effort before. Guan suddenly felt like he was dreaming, feeling as if he had become a genius all of a sudden. If so, there was no rush to improve his cultivation level. When his lifespan broke through 1,000 years, he gained the ability to detect lifespan. Perhaps when his lifespan broke through 10,000 years, new abilities would appear. Besides, with his current cultivation speed, he felt he could rely on cultivation to improve his level. Although there was no rush to improve his cultivation level, his attack methods needed enhancement. The Dragon Strength Divine Primordial skill was a supporting skill and had no techniques. His gaze fell on the residual wind leg. The Li family 7 sword techniques were swordsmanship. He didn't have a treasure sword, and swordsmanship relied heavily on cultivation level. The residual wind leg was different. It relied on his legs. His physical strength could already easily crush a Foundation Establishment realm demon of greed. If combined with the residual wind leg, the power would surely increase significantly. How much lifespan to invest? Guan was torn, afraid that too little would be meaningless and too much would be distressing. Forget it, round it up, invest 500 years. Guan excitedly invested 500 years of lifespan into evolving and training the residual wind leg. You practiced the residual wind leg for a year, but due to your mediocre comprehension and qualifications, your leg technique, although smooth, did not display the power of the residual wind leg. You practiced the residual wind leg for 10 years, and years of hard training brought your residual wind leg to peak perfection. You practiced the residual wind leg for 100 years, and your residual wind leg returned to its original simplicity, resulting in new insights. Your residual wind leg advanced to the wind shadow leg. You practiced the residual wind leg for 200 years and your wind shadow leg became perfected. Your understanding of physical techniques increased. You practiced the residual wind leg for 400 years and your wind shadow leg advanced to the gale shadowless leg. You practiced the residual wind leg for 500 years, and your gale shadowless leg reached the integrating realm. Your understanding of physical techniques and movement techniques increased. The understanding of physical techniques and movement techniques, could it be comprehension? Guan had just conceived this idea when his mind was immediately flooded with the memories of the gale shadowless leg. At dawn, the first ray of sunlight skimmed over Medicine Valley. Before it even touched the threshold of Guan's house, the door opened. Guan walked into the courtyard, faced the morning sun, and stretched lazily, his entire essence energy completely different. He wore a bright smile, still excited. He silently brought up his attribute panel. Name, Guan, lifespan, 19/1862, Spirit Root, Top Tier with Spirit Root for improved Spirit Roots, can invest lifespan for evolutionary training. Cultivation level, Energy Cultivation Realm 2nd layer, can invest lifespan for evolutionary training. Cultivation technique, Fire Control Art not mastered. Divine Wood Pure Yang skill mastery, Dragon Strength Divine Primordial skill mastery, can invest lifespan for evolutionary training. Ultimate skill, Gale Shadowless Leg Integrating Realm, Li Family 7 Swords not mastered, can invest lifespan for evolutionary training. Energy Cultivation Realm 2nd layer. Last night, during the inheritance of the Divine Wood Pure Yang skill, his spiritual power increased significantly, and after a night of Qi absorption cultivation, he smoothly broke through to the Energy Cultivation Realm 2nd layer. He was no longer a useless person without spiritual power. The feeling of gambling lifespan was truly satisfying. Guan had more thoughts about his immortal cultivation path. He had no intention of adventuring out. Capturing longevity by slaying demons might make his lifespan increase faster, but the risk of death would also soar. He thought of the Valley Master of Medicine Valley. Cheng Xiandan had only a few years left, and Zhang Chuanxiu had intentions of descending the mountain. The position of Valley Master would be his for sure. By then he could recruit a batch of servant disciples to cultivate medicinal herbs for him while he only harvested them. It was simply marvelous. Guan put his hands on his hips and looked towards the surrounding peaks. The mountain might still grow more medicinal herbs. Cheng Xiandan didn't expand Medicine Valley because it might be meaningless to him, as he was just a worker of the Supreme Sect. But for Guan it was different. He didn't need to share more herbs, he just wanted to capture their lifespans. The more Guan thought, the more excited he became, and he began to kick his legs and stretch his body on the spot. He displayed the residual wind leg technique, sharp and powerful, with each kick creating a fierce wind. Not long after, Meng Lang walked out from the neighboring house, just in time to see Guan's leg technique, and his eyes widened. 19-year-old Guan's body had fully matured, and his legs swung like whips. Although he did not move his position, the strong wind already hit Meng Lang's face, leaving him surprised. Meng Lang couldn't help but rub his eyes, thinking he had mistaken Guan for someone else. Since when did Guan become so powerful? Feeling Meng Lang's gaze, Guan retracted his leg, turned to him and smiled. Did I wake you up? Meng Lang quickly moved closer and looked at him carefully before saying, how did you suddenly become so powerful? The demonic wind last night, did you sense it? It wasn't related to you, was it? Guan rolled his eyes at him and said, That's right, it was me. I practiced the residual wind leg my master taught me last night, causing the heavenly Tao to shake and the earth to tremble. It frightened the heavens and the ghosts. Since you heard the commotion, why didn't you come out to see my prowess? Meng Lang would never admit his embarrassment. He snorted, Your leg technique is sharp, but without spiritual power support, how could it have raised the wind last night? Moreover, last night there was not only wind but also spiritual energy fluctuations. Either a demon was absorbing nature's spiritual energy, or a great cultivator was breaking through. Guan chuckled and kicked him gently on the buttocks. You dare kick me, are you rebelling? Liya is gone. Don't you want to acknowledge me as your elder brother? Meng Lang shrieked. If I acknowledged you, wouldn't you have to stay here with me forever? Don't you want to become an outer disciple? You have a point, you're right. I'm not like you. The two began to play fight. An ancient hour later, Zhang Chuanxiu found Guan and took him around Medicine Valley, pointing out every inch of land and medicinal herb. Guan listened attentively, but as he listened, he sensed something was off. This seemed like a farewell tour. Was last night's commotion enough to scare him to death? Guan wanted to console him, but on second thought that Zhu Moyan was no good. He probably assisted the great cultivator behind the demon of greed through dirty work, and once Chu Jingfeng dealt with the matter, Zhang Chuanxiu might be implicated. After all, they were good friends. Better for him to leave the mountain early. Guan swore he wasn't aiming to be the head disciple. He was genuinely thinking about Zhang Chunqius' welfare. After mastering the divine Wood Pure Yang skill, Guan wasn't in a hurry to contact Chu Jingfeng. First, he already had self-preservation ability. Secondly, he didn't want to alert the enemy. He had just returned to Medicine Valley. If Chu Jingfeng arrived the next day, it would be hard to clear suspicion. Guan wasn't wary of Zhu Moyan but the person behind him. According to Zhang Chuanxiu, that person's status was very high. The weight of everyone in Medicine Valley combined couldn't shake him. Just as well, he could improve his cultivation level during the waiting period. Zhang Chuanxiu took Guan around for an ancient hour. They even went up the surrounding mountains, and after talking himself hoarse, Zhang brought Guan to Qing Shendan. Guan stared curiously at the pill furnace in front of Qing Shendan. He had long heard of Cheng's proficiency in the alchemy technique and wondered if he could learn it. After learning it, he could then gamble lifespan to instantly become an alchemy grandmaster. Qing Shendan stood up and looked at Guan, saying, From now on, you are the head disciple of Medicine Valley. At these words, Guan was shocked and instinctively looked at Zhang Chuanxiu, panicking as he asked, Head disciple, what's wrong with you? Chapter 9 The Life of the First Disciple. Looking at Guan, who was worried about him, Zhang Chuanxiu felt very gratified. As he was about to descend the mountain, Zhang Chuanxiu was most reluctant to part with not his master, but his junior brother Guan. He was too obedient, too honest. Zhang Chuanxiu shared the same sentiment as Liya, worrying for Guan, fearing that he might be bullied in the future. I have stayed in Medicine Valley for 40 years, it's time for me to descend the mountain. My aptitude for immortal cultivation is mediocre, and I have no hope of reaching foundation establishment in this lifetime. Rather than wasting away here, it's better to descend the mountain and enjoy the rest of my life. Junior brother Gu, you should take on the role of senior brother. Meng Lang is lazy and can't be the senior brother, Zhang Chuanxiu said seriously, patting Guan on the shoulder. Guan hesitated, but, without you senior brother, I'm afraid Qing Shendan spoke, if you are unwilling let Meng, I can do it. Guan interrupted hastily. Zhang Chuanxiu, who was trying to comfort him, was stunned. Qing Shendan looked deeply at Guan without saying more. Guan fake coughed and said, I can't betray senior brother's intention. Honestly, I'm afraid that if Meng Lang becomes senior brother, he will boss me around every day. Hearing his last words, Zhang Chuanxiu couldn't help but laugh out loud. The atmosphere instantly eased and Zhang Chuanxiu started encouraging Guan, who listened attentively. After chatting for a while, Zhang Chuanxiu rolled up his sleeves, kowtowed 3 times to Qing Shendan, and then stood up and left, leaving Guan and Qing Shendan alone. You see, people can't stay in Medicine Valley. If you don't want to stay here forever, you can say so in advance. As your master, I might be able to assist you, Qing Shendan said calmly. Guan said quickly, Disciple is willing to stay in Medicine Valley for a lifetime. Don't be in a hurry to answer because it really might be for a lifetime. Master, I dare not lie. I truly want to stay here for a lifetime. To others, the work in Medicine Valley might seem dirty and tiring, but to me, these are the most contented days. Master takes good care of me and the senior and junior brothers are very friendly. I really am willing to stay here for a lifetime. Guan said seriously. At this moment he needed to show his sincerity. Qing Xiandan said quietly, you must have a background. It's not a coincidence that you survived the demon of greed, and the turbulent spiritual energy yesterday originated from your courtyard. Guan got anxious. Master, I really have no background. The only backer I ever had might be Ji Xiaoyu of the Ji family, but I am just her house servant. Ji family? Qing Xuandan's eyes widened. This was the first time Guan saw such a drastic change in his expression. On his face, Guan saw fear, anger, and dread, various negative emotions mingling together, making his expression grim and terrifying. Terrible. This old geezer must have a grudge against the Ji family. Guan felt uneasy and thought he might have gone too far. I see. From now on, you will be the head disciple of Medicine Valley, Qing Xiandan said after taking a deep breath. The tide turned. Guan breathed a sigh of relief. Regardless of whether Qing Xiandan was sincere, he would take the head disciple position first. Even if Qing Xiandan had ill intentions, he wouldn't live long. Guan wasn't afraid of Qing Xiandan plotting against him. Could Qing Xuandan's frail body withstand the blows better than the demon of greed? Disciple will definitely work diligently and not disappoint master, Guan assured hastily. Qing Xiandan waved his hand, go and call Meng Lang and Xiaochuan. Upon hearing this, Guan immediately bowed and then turned to leave. After the time it takes for one incense stick to burn. Guan, Meng Lang and Xiaochuan walked down from the pavilion. Xiaochuan was extremely excited, addressing Guan as senior brother non-stop. Meng Lang was indignant and angrily said, why are you the senior brother? Why not me? My cultivation is higher than yours and my background is better than yours. Guan didn't get angry at his words but turned back and smiled. Meng Lang being the senior brother is not an easy task. Once you take it on, it's for life. Master sees that you have the heart for immortal cultivation, so he let me take the position. Really? Meng Lang's anger subsided. Of course. Look at our senior brother. He stayed here for 40 years? How many 40 years do we have in a lifetime? Meng Lang fell silent. His expression changed, looking at Guan with sympathy. He patted Guan's shoulder. Guan, it's a disgrace for you. Xiaochuan also fell silent. He, too, harbored dreams of immortal cultivation and naturally didn't want to stay here for a lifetime. Guan pretended to be silent, but inside he was laughing his head off. Meng Lang was indeed easy to fool. Just like that, Guan's life as the head disciple began. Qing Xiandan let him manage all the affairs of Medicine Valley. He immediately handed over the planting and cultivation tasks to Xiaochuan and Meng Lang, while he concentrated on harvesting. Meng Lang, perhaps out of guilt, surprisingly did not complain. The harvesting task came only twice a month, so Guan spent most of his time cultivating, but he always hid his cultivation level, never letting anyone see it. 3 months passed. Guan silently reached the 5th layer of the energy cultivation realm. The mastery of the divine with pure yang skill was indeed powerful. Guan had not cultivated as long as Meng Lang. He also set aside time for reading. Autumn leaves covered Medicine Valley. The surrounding peaks were also tinged with autumn colors, exuding a melancholy felt in the mortal world. Guan stood in front of the wooden railing, looking at the nearly mature 3rd-tier medicinal herbs, his hand caressing the white spirit rat. Suddenly he heard something and turned his head to see Qing Xiandan walking in from the valley entrance, followed by a boy and a girl looking about 14 or 15 years old. He instinctively used lifespan detection. Yilan Energy Cultivation Realm 1st Layer 14/110/130, Lu Jiujia, Energy Cultivation Realm 2nd Layer 15/140/190. Good. 2 more helpers. Guan's lips curved into a smile as he walked quickly towards Qing Xiandan. When he reached Qing Xiandan he clasped his hands in salute. Lu Jiujia and Yilan curiously looked at Guan. Guan already had fine facial features, and growing up, coupled with the cultivation from Dragon Strength Divine Primordial skill and Divine Wood Pure Yang skill, his temperament was outstanding, reminding the 2 of the cultivators of the Supreme Sect they had seen. Aner, these 2 are your junior brother and sister. You take them to settle in, Qing Xiandan said and left. Aner? Guan almost got goosebumps but still bowed respectfully to Qing Xuandan's retreating figure. He turned to look at Lu Jiujia and Yilan, who hurriedly saluted him, and their respectful demeanor made him very satisfied. Good. More polite than Li Ya and Meng Lang. Back then, those 2 did not show such courtesy to Zhang Chuanqiu. Guan instantly developed a fondness for his junior brother and sister. He started by introducing himself and asking them to do the same. Lu Jiujia had dark skin and worn-out clothes, looking like a farm boy, but his bright eyes were full of spirit. Yi Lan was slender and her attire was luxurious, but her face could only be considered decent. "Let's go, senior brother will take you to your quarters first," Guan said with a smile. Seeing his gentle demeanor, the two were no longer as nervous. On the way to the disciples' courtyard, Yi Lan couldn't help but curiously ask about the other disciples in Medicine Valley. Guan introduced them truthfully. Later he called Meng Lang and Xiaochuan to meet the two new disciples. Unlike Zhang Chuanxiu, Guan truly wanted to manage the relationships within the sect well. After all, he intended to become the Valley Master. The addition of Yi Lan and Lu Jiujia reminded Guan of Zhu Moyan and the Demon of Greed. "Oh, we must resolve this matter soon to avoid endangering the junior brother and sister." Guan held this thought while beginning to teach his junior brother and sister how to do their tasks. That night, he closed his room door and took out the spirit stone given by Chu Jingfeng, injecting a trace of spiritual power into it, and the spirit stone started heating up. Guan felt quite fascinated as it was his first time using such immortal cultivation technology. A few breaths later, Chu Jingfeng's voice came through. "Who? Well, how many people did you give such spirit stones to?" Guan stifled his urge to complain and said, "Senior, I am Guan from Medicine Valley." Chu Jingfeng remained silent. Guan felt a little awkward. Fortunately, Chu Jingfeng soon spoke. "Do you have intelligence on the Demon of Greed?" "Yes." Guan replied firmly and then recounted what he had seen and heard. After he finished speaking, Chu Jingfeng asked in a deep voice, "Are you sure?" "Absolutely, without any falsehood. He is not far from Medicine Valley. I am just concerned he might harm us," Guan said seriously. "Good, I will handle this matter personally. I will go to the outer sect to find his cave address. You won't be troubled by this anymore." "Thank you, Senior. If this matter is resolved smoothly, I hope you won't mention me. I am of mediocre aptitude and wish to avoid trouble. I only seek a safe life." I will be discreet." With that, Chu Jingfeng cut off the connection through the spirit stone. Guan placed the spirit stone on the table, carefully pondering over his interactions with Chu Jingfeng and Zhu Moyan to see if there were any flaws. Such trouble. I hope this matter can pass smoothly. I just want to farm. Guan thought to himself. Compared to fighting, he preferred the peaceful life of picking herbs. After informing Chu Jingfeng, Guan patrolled daily, while also keeping a close eye on his junior brother and sister, fearing they might wander out of Medicine Valley. For 3 consecutive days, everything was calm. Until the night of the 4th day, Guan sensed signs of spiritual energy disturbance outside Medicine Valley and vaguely heard the clash of weapons. They were fighting. He crept outside and made his way to the valley entrance, intending to guard it to prevent the Demon of Greed or villains from sneaking into Medicine Valley and harming his junior brother and sister. The battle in the distance was fierce. By the time Guan reached the valley entrance, it still hadn't finished. The numerous peaks along the way prevented Guan from accurately assessing the battle, so he relied on his keen hearing to judge. Suddenly, Guan felt something and quickly turned around, looking back into Medicine Valley. His gaze fell on a pavilion where he saw Qing Shendan standing at the window looking at him from afar. The bright moonlight shone down, and in the dim pavilion, Qing Shendan looked like a ghost, making Guan feel a chill in his heart. Trouble. He discovered me. Guan frowned, suddenly unsure of what to do. As he hesitated, Qing Shendan slowly closed the window, but his gaze remained like 2 beams of eerie light, making Guan uneasy. Guan wasn't afraid of Qing Shendan. He feared Qing Shendan would leak the information. Then he thought it shouldn't be the case. If Qing Shendan were really connected to the great cultivator behind the Demon of Greed, why would he summon Chu Jingfeng to guard Medicine Valley? It would be superfluous. These servant disciples meant nothing to the sect. The other party didn't even need an excuse to report to the sect. Chapter 10, Alchemy, a Jade and a Promise. Guan tried hard not to think too much about Cheng Xuandan's intentions. He focused his attention outside the valley to avoid any enemy attacks. He stayed on guard for the entire night. At dawn, Guan quietly returned to his room. Guan wanted to check the battlefield but feared it might be a trap, so he held back. The addition of Yi Lan and Lu Jiujia brought more vitality to Medicine Valley. The two of them ran around the valley with Xiaochuan, full of youthful energy, making the usually quiet Xiaochuan lively as well. Guwen leaned against the wooden fence of a garden area, holding the green hero travelogue in his hands, enjoying the autumn breeze. His gaze occasionally drifted toward Cheng Xuanden's pavilion. The confrontation from last night lingered in his mind. He wanted to talk to Cheng Xiandan but feared shattering the delicate balance. At that moment, Lu Jiujia approached Guwen and asked expectantly, "Senior brother, I heard from senior brother Meng that you are skilled in a profound leg technique. Could you teach me? I'm willing to take over all the picking tasks." Guwen looked at him and smiled. "It's not that I'm skilled. If you want to learn, I can certainly teach you. As for the picking tasks, I'll handle them. I need to keep myself busy and I enjoy picking." Hearing this, Lu Jiujia admired Guwen even more. Senior brother really is a good person. He was extremely excited. Guwen put away the book in his arms and began teaching Lu Jiujia the residual wind leg technique. Before long, Xiaochuan and Yilan also came to learn. As for Meng Lang, he couldn't put aside his pride and believed that Guwen wasn't as strong as him. He mentioned Guwen's leg technique only to avoid being pestered by Lu Jiujia. The residual wind leg techniques were fierce. Even with Guwen holding back, the young teens were still amazed. An ancient hour later, just as Guwen was thinking of finding an excuse to slip away, a voice came from a distance. "An heir, come over here." Guwen turned his head to see Cheng Xiandan standing by the window, waving at him. It had come. Guwen immediately walked towards Cheng Xuanden's pavilion. Xiaochuan and the other two thought nothing of it and continued practicing the residual wind leg. He walked all the way into Cheng Xuanden's room, closed the door behind him, quickly approached Cheng Xiandan and bowed. Cheng Xiandan was sitting in meditation in front of the pill furnace. He pointed to the other side of the furnace and said, "Sit." Guwen walked to the indicated spot and sat cross-legged, preparing his words in his mind. "You are looking for Chu Jingfeng?" Cheng Xuanden's first words interrupted Guwen's thoughts. Straight to the point. Guwen didn't pretend anymore and replied, "Yes, he found me before. He said that if there were any clues about the demon of greed, I should contact him anytime. Senior brother Zhang recommended me to take care of the cave of an outer sect disciple named Zhu Moyan. When Zhu Moyan returned, I went to hand over duties and saw the demon of greed hidden behind the vines. His cave is too close to us, so I had to find Chu Jingfeng." Cheng Xiandan nodded and said, "You did the right thing. Indeed, this matter can only be entrusted to Chu Jingfeng. Chu Jingfeng is extraordinary. Not only is he highly talented, but he also has an illustrious background. That's why he could become an inner sect disciple with his foundation establishment realm cultivation level. A big background? No wonder he dared to investigate the demon of greed." Guwen felt relieved. He also worried that if Chu Jingfeng failed, the great cultivator behind the demon of greed would find him. Chu Jingfeng has always been investigating the demon of greed. That's why he took on our Medicine Valley's task. This is a game between his father and an elder in the sect. However, as your master, I am curious. Why did you only look for Chu Jingfeng recently, when it's been months since you returned from Zhu Moyan's cave? Cheng Xiandan stared at Guwen and asked. Guwen replied helplessly, "Master, you should know me. I dislike trouble and don't want conflicts. Whatever Meng Lang orders me to do, I am too lazy to argue. So I initially pretended not to see anything. But since Master brought junior brothers and sisters into Medicine Valley, I had to contact Chu Jingfeng." Guwen's words were sincere. That was indeed the reason. Cheng Xiandan gave him a deep look, then glanced at the pill furnace and said, "You did well. From now on, you will be my true disciple. I will teach you everything I know. As for this matter, let's both forget it. Neither Chu Jingfeng's father nor the big figure behind the demon of greed is someone we can provoke." Hearing this, Guwen froze, staring at Cheng Xuanden's profile, suddenly feeling that he had misunderstood his master. "Master." Guwen immediately stood up and bowed deeply to Cheng Xiandan very solemnly. Cheng Xiandan looked back at him, showing a kind expression, quite different from his usual demeanor. "In the future, if there's anything you wish to know or learn, come to me. Don't feel like you're disturbing me. I don't have many years left and the days I can teach you are limited." Cheng Xuanden's eyes and tone were unprecedentedly gentle. Guwen sat down and cautiously asked, "Master, can you make youth-preserving pills?" The standard equipment for an immortal cultivation protagonist is taking a youth-preserving pill right at the start and maintaining eternal youth. Guwen didn't want to become an old man with white hair in the future. Cheng Xiandan shook his head and laughed, then raised his hand. With a gesture, a jade bottle appeared in his hand. He poured out a pill and handed it to Guwen. Guwen didn't hesitate and swallowed it directly. The reason he was so bold was that both the Divine Wood Pure Yang skill and the Dragon Strength Divine Primordial skill had detoxification effects. Describing him as impervious to all poisons was no exaggeration. Seeing Guwen completely unguarded, Qing Xiandan felt gratified. After taking the youth-preserving pill, Guwen didn't feel any different, as if he had just eaten a piece of icy candy that melted in his mouth. "Do you have any thoughts about alchemy?" Qing Xiandan asked. Guwen's eyes lit up and he quickly nodded. "To be honest, Master, I've wanted to learn alchemy from you for a long time, but I was too embarrassed to ask." Qing Xiandan stroked his beard and laughed heartily. The atmosphere inside the room became very warm. Qing Xiandan began to teach him alchemy, starting with lighting a fire in the pill furnace. Having learned the fire control art, Guwen learned quickly, making Qing Xiandan mistakenly believe he had a talent for alchemy. Later, when Qing Xuandan's discussion moved away from fire, Guwen started getting confused, causing Qing Xiandan to become silent for a while. After Guwen and Qing Xiandan established a true mentor-apprentice relationship, Medicine Valley became even more lively. Having stayed indoors for years, Qing Xiandan started to come out, offering guidance on how to cultivate medicinal herbs. Lu Jiujia and Yi Lan grew more fond of Qing Xiandan, often praising him as kind and amiable, which made Meng Lang sneer. Since that night's battle, there had been no more fights outside the valley. Chu Jingfeng and Zhu Moyan didn't come to Medicine Valley. Guwen didn't dare to investigate and kept it in his heart. Time flew by. A year quickly passed. Guwen turned 20. His lifespan had extended to over 2,800 years. One noon, Guwen was lying on a cliff halfway up a mountain reading a book. Below was Medicine Valley, where he could see Xiaochuan and Lu Jiujia practicing leg techniques. Ever since the words alchemy appeared on Guwen's attribute panel, he had stopped bothering Qing Xiandan. The process of learning alchemy was extremely tedious. It's worth mentioning that on Guwen's suggestion, Qing Xiandan exchanged more seeds from the outer sect. After truly becoming master and apprentice, Qing Xiandan was very competent. Guwen used his left hand as a pillow, holding the book with his right. He blew out a breath, using his qi to flip the pages. His eyes suddenly widened as he sat up abruptly. The latest Green Hero Travelogue contained illustrations. "This is something." Guwen carefully examined the illustrations, muttering critiques as he did so. A screaming sound came from the sky. He looked up sharply, his eyes turning sharp. A white eagle with a wingspan of nearly 10 feet descended, releasing a letter close to Guwen. He caught it easily. The eagle drew a perfect arc in the air and quickly disappeared behind the mountain. What a magnificent eagle! Guwen couldn't help but think of his white spirit rat, which was only palm-sized and utterly useless. He opened the envelope, finding not only a letter but also a jade pendant engraved with the character Chu. He attached the jade pendant to his belt, tucked the Green Hero Travelogue into his bosom and then read the letter. The letter was written by Chu Jingfeng. Chu Jingfeng briefly recounted the previous battle, stating that Zhu Moyan had died by his sword. Over the past year, he had collected evidence and brought down the great cultivator who manipulated the demon of greed. He advised Guwen not to worry about this matter anymore. The jade pendant was a token of the Chu family. If Guwen ever faced an unsolvable problem, he could use it to find Chu Jingfeng or his clan members. The Chu family acknowledged the jade, not the person. One jade meant one promise. Guwen's fondness for Chu Jingfeng increased significantly. He didn't expect this proud inner sect disciple to be so loyal. Even if Chu Jingfeng didn't repay him, he couldn't do much, since he had previously told Chu Jingfeng not to contact him. After reading, Guwen tore the letter into pieces and scattered them on the ground. With a slight twist of his right foot, his spiritual power vibrated, turning the letter fragments into powder. The spiritual power of the 8th layer of the energy cultivation realm was just that strong. Guwen's lips curved into a smile as he leaped gracefully, like a wild goose, and flew away. Along the way, he treaded lightly on the leaves of the forest trees on the mountainside, landing with flair. By now Lu Jiujia and Xiaochuan were used to it. Guwen suppressed his aura to the 2nd layer of the energy cultivation realm. He had already displayed the residual wind leg, receiving praise from Qing Xiandan. Now he seemed like a formidable martial arts expert. Guwen conducted himself with humility, but he felt he couldn't always stay hidden. Showing a portion of his strength appropriately would help his farming life. As soon as he landed, the white spirit rat scrambled up his leg and perched on his shoulder. "I haven't checked your leg techniques in days. Come on, let's spar. Both of you together." Guwen smiled at Xiaochuan and Lu Jiujia. Xiaochuan and Lu Jiujia exchanged glances and immediately charged at Guan. The three of them practiced their leg techniques on the grassy field outside the garden, moving gracefully and with long legs like whips. In no time the wind rushed and grass clippings flew. Guan fought off the two of them with a single leg, dismantling their techniques. Xiaochuan's techniques were decent but somewhat clumsy, while Lu Jiujia had high talent. His kicks already showed signs of the residual wind leg, but each move was still slower than Guan's. After half a cup of tea's time, Xiaochuan and Lu Jiujia were panting heavily. They exchanged a glance and then surrendered in unison. Guan slowly retracted his leg hanging in the air and smiled. "You've made great progress. I had a hard time dealing with you. Soon enough you might surpass me." "Soon? How soon?" Xiaochuan asked stiffly. Guan patted the dust off his trousers and smiled. "That depends on how hard you work." The white spirit rat on his shoulder chirped as if laughing. Chapter 11, G Family Ultimate Skill. After giving Xiaochuan and Lu Jiujia a few perfunctory responses, Guan walked towards his own courtyard. He took out Green Hero Travelogue from his bosom, ready to savor the illustrations in the book. Just as he reached the front of the courtyard, Yilan greeted him. "Senior brother, I also want to learn residual wind leg," Yilan said angrily. Guan naturally closed the travelogue and smiled. "Why? Your senior brother Meng is unwilling to teach you spells?" Yilan became even more upset, complaining, "Yes, he taught me very perfunctorily. I got anxious and argued with him. As a result, he scolded me, saying he was preparing for the outer sect assessment and had no time for me and told me to scram." Seeing her cheeks puffed up like a ball, Guan found it amusing but held back from laughing. "Since your senior brother Meng is busy, don't disturb him. How about this? Tomorrow at noon, he'll personally teach you residual wind leg. How does that sound?" Guan said gently. Yilan asked in surprise, "Why tomorrow?" "Senior brother is tired, please understand. I was just pestered by your two senior brothers. You can go ask them." Guan pointed to Xiaochuan and Lu Jiujia in the distance. After speaking, he bypassed Yilan and walked towards his own room. Yilan noticed the book in his hand and wondered to herself, "Is this Green Hero Travelogue really that interesting?" Guan returned to his room and closed the door. He lay on his bed and picked up the Green Hero Travelogue again. The reason he liked Green Hero Travelogue was because it was a series, with a new volume appearing every half year. Chasing after serialized books in the immortal cultivation world gave Guan a feeling of being back on Earth. He quickly became immersed in the content of the book. He seriously doubted whether this book was written by a cultivator from the Supreme Sect. He didn't know the author's cultivation level, but unfortunately, the book did not detail battles, focusing instead on scenic tours, flowers, and the moon. An hour later, Guan suddenly heard movement in the adjacent room. Meng Lang seemed to be rolling on the ground, his breathing extremely chaotic. Did he make a mistake during his training? Guan hesitated about whether to check on it. Meng Lang soon stopped. This kid didn't even scream in pain. Accompanied by the surrounding spiritual energy flowing into his room, Guan knew he had started cultivating again. TSK. Leah had already risen. Could Meng Lang also have his own fortuitous encounter? Damn, considering this, the three of them entered Medicine Valley on the same day, apprenticed to the same master, and all had great opportunities. Somewhat legendary. Thinking again, Guan felt he was overthinking. This kid Meng Lang would be lucky to die a natural death. In his view, with Meng Lang's temperament, once he left the valley he wouldn't last long before dying. Couldn't speak properly and easily got irritated, not at all like an immortal cultivator. He stopped thinking too much and continued to savor Green Hero Travelogue. Guan absorbed energy for 6 ancient hours daily, basically using sleep time to cultivate. Immortal cultivators didn't need to sleep. The process of energy absorption itself was a better way to regulate and relax than sleep. During the rest of the time he not only read travelogues but also other books. Qing Xiandan had already passed 100 Herbs collection to him. 100 Herbs collection was created by the Supreme Sect, recording various spirit flowers and grasses from all over the world, with Qing Xiandan specially annotating some medicinal properties. Although Qing Xuandan's cultivation was poor, his 100 years of life had indeed made him knowledgeable and experienced. Those with poor qualifications had this advantage: they could use more time to fill in knowledge and insights. Another year of winter snow arrived, snowflakes flying, covering the courtyard in pristine white. Guan was directing his junior brothers and sisters to clear the area. As for Ming Lang, that guy seemed to have gone mad, hiding in his room all day to practice. Now Guan couldn't command him. Qing Shendan said to let him be. Each courtyard had special talisman paper at the edges that could generate heat, but these talisman papers had time limits. Once they expired, it took only an ancient hour for the snow to cover the entire courtyard. Watching Xiaochuan, Lu Jiujia, and Yi Lan busily working, Guan's thoughts wandered. He was increasingly dissatisfied with the output of Medicine Valley, and decided to open new land. Once this winter passed, Guan planned to arrange for them to go up the mountain, chop trees and till the soil. The sound of something cutting through the air came from afar. Guan turned his head to see a man in plain clothes stepping on a flying sword, flying through the snow, like a sword immortal. Guan instinctively cast a lifespan detection on him, finding that this guy's cultivation had reached the 6th layer of the energy cultivation realm. A breakthrough so fast. Du Ye's arrival also caught the attention of the three, Xiaochuan. Du Yi flew all the way to near Guan, leaped off, and the flying sword sheathed itself at his waist, the sword light flashing in the snowy landscape. The whole process was seamless and very graceful. The three watched with wide eyes. They didn't join the Supreme Sect just to do chores. They all wanted to cultivate immortality. Unfortunately, due to their mediocre spirit root qualifications, they ended up in this situation. They joined Medicine Valley to wait for an opportunity. Dee looked at Guan, patted him on the shoulder and laughed, "Not bad, you've grown up. You're no longer the little kid following behind me all the time." Guan smiled and exchanged pleasantries with Du Yi, but in his heart, he cursed. We're both house servants, so why act high and mighty? After circling around, Du Yi finally got to the point. He whispered, "How's the preparation of medicinal herbs? Come with me to get them." Guan smiled and nodded. He did have some medicinal herbs stored, the share a big disciple of Medicine Valley deserved. He planned to give them all to Du Yi. Although he could seize lifespans, that thing took time. Before he became invincible, he needed to maintain a good relationship with the Ji family, as he might need their help in the future. No matter how strong the Chu family, they were only powerful within the Supreme Sect. The Ji family, however, was different. They were a top family in the Taizong dynasty. The Ji family Guan originally stayed with was just a branch in a city. Every immortal cultivation sect in the Taizong dynasty had members of the Ji family. On the way, Di started talking about the outer sect. Li Ya is from your Medicine Valley, right? Recently he's been making quite a splash. He's a member of the Taizong imperial family, competing with his imperial brother. They even made a life and death duel agreement, causing quite a stir. It said that a few years ago, Li Ya was just a waste, but somehow gained a great fortune, and his cultivation level advanced rapidly. Now, he's already at the 2nd layer of the Foundation Establishment realm. Hearing Du Yi mention Li Ya, Guan also became interested. Li Ya seemed like a tragic fantasy protagonist? Guan curiously asked, "Must one reach the Foundation Establishment realm to become an outer sect disciple?" Du Yi nodded, "Naturally. Like me, with insufficient cultivation, though I belong to the outer sect, I am still considered a servant. But by staying in the outer city, I get to hear about these things. Reaching the Foundation Establishment realm, one can directly be promoted to an outer sect disciple. Reaching the core formation realm, one can be promoted to an inner sect disciple. Above inner sect disciples are inheriting disciples and true disciples. These are the established rules. If someone is exceptionally talented, they can break these rules. Our third miss is such a person. She entered as an inheriting disciple and now has aspirations of becoming a true disciple. To become a true disciple, cultivation alone isn't enough. You must also be respected and have sufficient prestige. Hence, we must pave the way for her." Talking about Ji Xiaoyu, Du Yi became very enthusiastic. It was the first time Guan didn't find him long-winded and listened attentively. As they entered the house, Guan continued listening while taking out the prepared bundle. After talking for a while, Du Yi finally stopped. He raised his hand and weighed the bundle, dissatisfied. "Why so little?" Guan smiled, "The future is long. Cultivating immortality isn't a matter of 1 or 2 years. Instead of overstepping my bounds and taking too much, risking banishment from the valley, I'd rather stay put and provide herbs regularly. I will offer everything, not keeping a single plant." Hearing this, Du Ye's expression softened. He asked again, "Really? Truly, with my qualifications, what use do I have for herbs? Living a peaceful life is my pursuit." Guan nodded. Du Yi opened his mouth but finally sighed. He reached towards his waist storage bag, pulling out a secret book and handing it to Guan. Guan looked at it and saw the words, 8 Directions Step. He was surprised. This guy had a conscience? Du Yi introduced, this is a step technique from the Ji family. Although it's only the basic step technique of the Ji family's ultimate skill, Qilin step, if you learn it, you may escape a dangerous situation in the future. This step technique doesn't rely on spirit root qualifications, so as long as you spend time on it, you can master it. Guan looked at Du Yi in a different light. Just as he was about to say something, Du Yi picked up the bundle, patted Guan's shoulder again and walked past him. Guan turned and followed him, seeing him out. In the courtyard, Du Yi turned back to him and said, after all, we grew up together. Even if we may drift apart because of our choices in the future, the camaraderie will always be there. If things don't go well, come find me. With that, he patted his sword sheath with his left hand. With a clang, the sword came out of the sheath. He leaped up, stepping on the sword, and flew away. What a handsome sword control technique. Guan looked down at the secret book in his hand, the corners of his mouth curving up. He began to peruse the 8 Directions step, practicing right in the courtyard. Ji family's ultimate skill? He wondered if he could evolve the Ji family's ultimate skill by using lifespan evolution during practice. After Xiaochuan, Lu Jiujia and Yi Lan finished cleaning the courtyard, they quickly came to Guan's courtyard, curiously watching him practice the step technique. Senior brother, what cultivation technique are you practicing? Yi Lan asked curiously. Guan moved his steps and replied with a smile, do you all want to learn? Yes. The three said in unison. Guan responded, when I master it, I will teach you. Bang. The door of the adjacent room was pushed open. Meng Lang, with bloodshot eyes and blood vessels visible on his forehead, stepped out, looking frightening and terrifying. Xiaochuan, Lu Jiujia and Yi Lan were all scared. Meng Lang charged straight towards Yi Lan, who was closest to him, like a mad beast, full of ferocity. Yi Lan was so scared she couldn't react in time. In less than a breath's time, Meng Lang was about to crash into Yi Lan. Guan grabbed Yi Lan's shoulder and pulled her back, simultaneously stepping with his right foot onto Meng Lang's chest. Boom. Meng Lang's momentum erupted, his energy swirling around him, and his feet plowed 2 long grooves into the ground. Guan slowly straightened his right leg, pressing Meng Lang backward. Xiaochuan, Lu Jiujia and Yi Lan stared wide-eyed, deeply impressed by Guan's posture and felt awe. Senior brother was this strong? Although Guan usually won their sparring matches, that was without using spiritual power. Xiaochuan and Lu Jiujia both believed they would eventually surpass senior brother. Meng Lang suddenly grabbed Guan's right foot with both hands, trying to break it with brute force. Guan jumped up forcefully, then stomped down hard, pressing Meng Lang to the ground with a thud. Meng Lang's knees sunk deep into the soil. He trembled all over and couldn't push Guan's foot away, looking extremely pathetic. Chapter 12 Foundation Establishment, Night Storm. Seeing Guan's leg suppress Meng Lang with ease, Xiaochuan, Lu Jiujia and Yi Lan were extremely excited. Usually Meng Lang always boasted of being the strongest in Medicine Valley, but today he lost control and was forced to kneel by senior brother's leg. No wonder senior brother isn't Meng Lang. Master has a keen eye. Guan looked down at Meng Lang, who was kneeling in front of him, and said, still not awake? His spiritual power flowed from his right leg into Meng Lang's body, forcibly calming the chaotic spiritual power within him. Meng Lang's breathing gradually stabilized, the bloodshot in his eyes began to fade, and his fierce expression slowly returned to normal. Seeing him awake, Guan slowly retracted his leg and then helped him up. Meng Lang suddenly woke up in shock, looking at Guan and gasping for breath. Guan? What happened just now? Meng Lang asked with difficulty. The turbulence of qi and blood within him made it hard to speak. Guan replied, it seems like you had a deviation. Meng Lang's eyes widened in shock and he asked, I didn't harm you guys, did I? Xiaochuan and Lu Jiujia's expressions instantly turned strange. Yi Lan instinctively wanted to answer but was preempted by Guan, you're lucky you controlled yourself at the critical moment. Meng Lang couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief and forced a smile. That's because I am the true senior brother, how could I harm you? Yi Lan looked at Guan with eyes full of admiration. Senior brother is not only strong but also very gentle. Xiaochuan and Lu Jiujia had similar thoughts, despising Meng Lang at the same time. Nice words, but you were acting like a ghost just now. Guan sent Xiaochuan and the other two away, then helped Meng Lang back to the house. What cultivation technique are you practicing? it's too dangerous. Guan asked, although he had a poor opinion of Meng Lang. After all, they spent every day together. If possible, he still hoped Meng Lang would be safe. Meng Lang snickered, of course it's a divine skill, but my aptitude and comprehension are insufficient, prone to mistakes, but I have no choice, I must become an outer disciple. Guan asked in confusion, why must you become an outer disciple, didn't you not care about it before? Meng Lang's expression instantly darkened, sinking into silence. Seeing his reluctance to speak, Guan didn't press further. After helping him to bed, he turned and left. To Guan, this event was just a minor episode. He couldn't control the fate of others. Everyone had their own pursuits, and if they died on the immortal cultivation path, it wouldn't be a pity. In the courtyard, Guan continued practicing the 8 directions step. Winter passed and spring arrived, bringing another year of beautiful scenery. In the early morning, with remnants of ice and snow in Medicine Valley, Guan led his junior brothers and sisters up the mountain. Cutting trees and uprooting roots is also a form of cultivation. You can use your spiritual power, and when it's exhausted, continue cultivating. This helps improve your cultivation level. Guan, dressed in a green robe, stood in the woods and smiled gently. With his hands behind his back, he had the demeanor of an expert. That day he subdued the deviated Meng Lang with one leg, successfully establishing himself as an expert in the hearts of his junior brothers and sisters. Guan even felt that his little junior sister had other thoughts about him, increasingly clinging to him. Fortunately, he timely guided Yi Lan to focus on cultivation, diverting her attention. How could immortal cultivation involve emotions? Guan didn't want to get entangled in a whirlpool of feelings too early in this life, as it would lead to losing oneself. Xiaochuan turned back and asked, "Senior brother, should we use our hands or our legs?" Guan maintained his smile and said, "Use whatever is convenient. Cultivation is one aspect, completing tasks is another. Make sure to find the right direction." Is this what Zhang Chuanqiu felt before? Saying nonsense is quite exhilarating. Senior brother Xiaochuan, let's compete to see who is faster. Lu Jiujia eagerly said. Xiaochuan agreed wholeheartedly, and Yi Lan also clamored to join, but was ignored by the two. They didn't like competing with girls. Guan watched them pull up trees while planning a new garden area. What medicinal herbs should be planted on this mountain? Guan fell into deep thought. Although the three were cultivators, their cultivation level wasn't high. It took them half a day to clear an area. Guan brought the seeds of the third-tier medicinal herb, soul-shaking grass, and had them plant them. After completing all this, the brothers descended the mountain together, chatting and laughing as the setting sun elongated their shadows on the slope. Guan had his junior brothers and sister talk about their goals. All three aimed to enter the outer sect, but their motives were different. Xiaochuan simply wanted to become stronger, Lu Jiujia wanted to prove himself to his family, and Yi Lan seemed to have some hidden trouble, speaking ambiguously. Guan listened with great interest, believing everyone should have their own story. Listening to different stories also made his life fuller. A month had passed since planting the soul-shaking grass. That night, the moon was dim and stars were sparse. Guan was in his room, sitting cross-legged on his bed, staring at his attribute panel, conflicted. Name, Guan, Lifespan, 20/3163, Spirit Root, First Class with Spirit Root for Elements Good Spirit Root, can invest Lifespan to evolve Cultivation. Cultivation Level, Energy Cultivation Realm 9 layers can invest Lifespan to evolve Cultivation. Cultivation Techniques, Fire Control Art, Unmastered, Divine Wood Pure Yang Skill, Mastery, Dragon Strength Divine Primordial Skill, Mastery, Alchemy, Initial Insight, can invest Lifespan to evolve Cultivation. Ultimate Skills, Gale. Shadowless Leg, Proficient. Li Family 7 Swords, Unmastered. 8 Direction Step, Unmastered. Can invest Lifespan to evolve Cultivation. Should I invest my Lifespan to advance my Cultivation realm? Cheng Shendan had the ability to refine Foundation Establishment Pill, and he was currently kind to Guan, so he might seek it out. However, Meng Lang's abnormality made Guan wary of Cheng Shendan. Meng Lang had no prominent background. If he possessed a divine skill, he would have already practiced it. So why wait until after Li Ya and Zhang Chuanqiu left to start? Given Guan's current senses, he was sure that Meng Lang hadn't had contact with strangers in the past 2 years. At most, he was summoned by Cheng Shendan, and Guan wouldn't eavesdrop on their conversations every time. Forget it. Relying on oneself is better. Be cautious. The path of immortal cultivation, even a slight mistake, could lead to destruction. Guan immediately invested a year of lifespan into his cultivation for evolution. Special reminder: cultivation level is real. During the evolution process, it turns illusion into reality, consuming more lifespan than actual cultivation. You focused on energy absorption cultivation for a year. Without the foundation establishment pill and lacking luck, you did not break through to the foundation establishment realm. 2 notifications appeared before Guan. Due to his failure to break through, his cultivation level did not increase. Guan remained unfazed and continued to invest lifespan year after year. Failure, failure, failure. After 9 attempts, his expression grew tense. Damn. I don't believe it. Invest 100 years. With anger rising, Guan invested 100 years of lifespan into his cultivation for evolution. You practiced energy absorption cultivation for 10 years, forcibly breaking through to foundation establishment realm with a great accomplishment in divine wood pure yang skill, but failed. You practiced energy absorption cultivation for 20 years, forcibly breaking through to foundation establishment realm with a great accomplishment in divine wood pure yang skill, and succeeded. You practiced energy absorption cultivation for 30 years, breaking through to foundation establishment realm second layer. You practiced energy absorption cultivation for 50 years, breaking through to foundation establishment realm third layer. You practiced energy absorption cultivation for 70 years, breaking through to foundation establishment realm fourth layer. You practiced energy absorption cultivation for 100 years, breaking through to foundation establishment realm fifth layer. Lines of notifications appeared rapidly before Guan's eyes. Before he could feel happy, he sensed something amiss. Such rapid breakthroughs surely caused a commotion? Just as this thought emerged, his body started to heat up. The divine wood pure yang skill began to operate automatically. He quickly got up and leaped out through the open window. His steps were extremely fast and silent. In less than 3 breaths' time, he dashed into the woods, his feet striking the mountain wall like a monkey swiftly climbing to the peak. By then, nature's spiritual energy had already begun to converge upon him. He jumped and plunged into the dark woods, his right foot stepping on a branch to borrow strength and soar through multiple leaps before landing lightly. Spiritual energy poured into his body, forming a vortex around him. His absorption rate of spiritual energy increased, causing him to break into a cold sweat, relieved at his quick reaction. If he had broken through in Medicine Valley, it would have surely disturbed others. Cheng Shendan and Ming Lang might not dare to come out, but Xiaochuan and Lu Jiujiao, those 2 bold ones, definitely would. While thinking, Guan sprinted quickly like a spirit fox, causing the woods to sway and emit rustling sounds in the night. With the gale shadowless leg, Guan moved at high speed, traversing mountains and ridges swiftly. He moved farther and farther from Medicine Valley. Before he could stop, his cultivation realm began to break through. The brutal surge of spiritual energy impacted his meridians and transformed his dantian. It hurt. Guan frowned but didn't slow down. After running for dozens of miles, he finally stopped in a forest and sat down to cultivate. While cultivating, he mused. Unexpectedly, 100 years of lifespan allowed him to break through from energy cultivation realm 9 layers to foundation establishment realm 5th layer. The consumed lifespan proved to be substantial. Of course, the main reason for his quick breakthrough was the mastery of divine wood pure yang skill. If he invested 1,000 years of lifespan, could he reach the core formation realm or even touch the nascent soul realm? Guan indulged in endless imagination. The spiritual energy he absorbed increased, making the forest shake like in a storm, leaves falling like demonic ghosts looming in the night. This commotion is a bit too much. Guan bitterly thought. The drawback of using lifespan to evolve cultivation emerged, making too much noise and attracting trouble. After evolution, it wasn't about gaining cultivation out of nothing but compressing all necessary spiritual energy into a short period for rapid breakthrough. Breaking through from energy cultivation realm 9 layers to foundation establishment realm 5th layer caused such a commotion. What would happen when he broke through from core formation realm to nascent soul? If other cultivators were drawn during the process, it would be disastrous. Guan preferred to always consider the worst scenario. No way. He needed to be even more cautious in the future. Guan decided to invest a year of lifespan into his cultivation each day, gradually progressing. Time flew by quickly. Under the night sky, the wind howled, Guan's robe billowing, and his spiritual power grew rapidly. After a while, his aura suddenly changed. Foundation establishment succeeded. His dantian transformed, boosting the production of spiritual power, and stimulating his muscles and bones to strengthen. It wasn't over yet. His cultivation continued to rise, dust mixed with grass scraps swirling around him in a grand display. Foundation Establishment Realm 2nd Layer. Foundation Establishment Realm 3rd Layer. Foundation Establishment Realm 4th Layer. Chapter 13. I only remember his leg techniques being very fast. Guwen was not happy about the rapid breakthrough. His mind was constantly tense, afraid that someone would come. The Supreme Sect was so vast that it was hard to see any trace of people within 100 miles around Medicine Valley. It shouldn't alarm a great cultivator, right? Just as Guwen was thinking this, he suddenly felt two powerful auras coming from afar, stronger than Chu Jingfeng back then. What you fear will always come. He was in the process of cultivation from the 4th layer to the 5th layer of the Foundation Establishment Realm. It was inconvenient to get up, and it would be hard to escape those two even if he ran now. Big trouble. Guwen nervously felt those two approaching auras. When they were less than 100 feet away, they stopped with a mountain peak between them. He was in a dark forest wearing a dark green robe. Coupled with the dust flying around, it was hard for people to see his true appearance clearly. Sensing that the two didn't force their way through, Guwen breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that the others were also wary of him and didn't dare to disturb recklessly. Guwen's cultivation continued to grow. Due to the commotion around and the mountain separating them, he couldn't hear the conversation between the two, leaving him unable to relax. When he broke through to the 5th layer of the Foundation Establishment Realm, the two on the other side of the mountain still had not moved. Guwen's cultivation speed began to slow down. He raised his right hand and pressed it against the tree trunk behind him, connecting it with his internal spiritual power. A blue line of light appeared on the tree trunk, flowing around his palm. When the blue line connected end to end, he withdrew his right hand and directly pulled off a piece of wood mask from the tree trunk. He put the mask on his face and with his other hand drew two eyes on the mask. The drawn area fell off and thus, a complete mask appeared on his face. Spiritual energy was still drilling into his body, but he could already get up. As if sensing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth calming down, a loud voice came, "Which Taoist friend is making a breakthrough here and why not in your own cave?" This voice was very serious, clearly doubting that Guwen was not a disciple of the Supreme Sect. Guwen hesitated about whether to respond. He was just a servant disciple. If he was discovered making a successful foundation within a few years of entering, even if he could successfully join the outer sect, there would still be risks. His commotion was too loud tonight. If those two knew his identity, there would inevitably be a third and fourth person knowing. What if someone harbored malicious intentions towards him? No wonder Guwen thought too much. Growing up as a house servant, he had seen the dangers of human nature. While binding the mask with vines, Guwen was thinking, his eyes flashing with cold light shining in the night. Impossible. Cannot be exposed. Guwen didn't want to get into trouble. Even if he became an outer sect disciple, it would not be a good thing for him. The Supreme Sect would not keep disciples for nothing. Outer sect disciples had to take on sect tasks, inevitably falling into life-threatening situations. When his cultivation completely stabilized, he stood up. His face was covered by the mask, revealing only a pair of eyes, and a cyclone still surrounded him. At this time he felt the two auras quickly attacking from the mountain, clearly regarding him as an intruder. Guwen dared not make a sound because he judged that the other party's cultivation was not too strong. If he felt the other party was unbeatable, he wouldn't have dared to think so much. He immediately turned around and rushed deeper into the forest. Whip, a breaking sound came from behind Guwen. He turned to look, seeing a cold light dashing through the dark forest, breaking branches along the way, followed by a woman. This woman was dressed in white, her right arm stretched out, her palm facing the sword hilt, connected by spiritual power. The sword blade burst out with sharp sword chi, unstoppable, flying through the forest like a startling swan. In an instant, her sword almost reached Guwen's back within half a zhang. Guwen's left foot landed, his body twisted backward, and his left leg crouched down. The sword blade just flew over him. The woman in white widened her eyes. The night made her face fall into darkness, but the sword light illuminated her eyes, showing astonishment in those bright and dazzling eyes. In a flash, as Guwen crouched down, his right leg kicked backward, hitting the woman in white's abdomen. An immense force she had never experienced attacked her, her consciousness instantly went blank and she spat out a mouthful of blood. Bang! The woman in white was sent flying backward, crashing into a big tree and falling on the grass, life or death unknown. "How dare you!" A shout came and Guan looked closely, seeing a blue figure quickly leaping, leaving shadows along the way. So fast. Guan's eyes couldn't keep up with the other's movement technique. In a panic, he directly used the Gale Shadowless leg. He had no combat experience. Dealing with the demon of greed back then was just a slap, so facing a powerful opponent he didn't dare to get too close. Spiritual power poured into his right leg. He took a step back and his right leg kicked out fiercely. With this kick, a gale suddenly sprang up, whistling towards the blue figure. Inside the blue figure was a man holding a sword. His pupils suddenly dilated, filled with leg shadows. Dust flew up, rows of trees were knocked down, and leg shadows carrying an overwhelming force submerged the swordsman, sweeping several zhang away, making a huge commotion. Guan retracted his leg and turned into the darkness. The forest gradually fell silent. When the dust settled, the swordsman was seen lying on the ground, not moving. In the morning, Yilan walked out of the house, her gaze habitually looking at her senior brother's courtyard. Over a not-so-high wall, she saw her senior brother's figures. "So diligent, I can't let them leave me behind," Yilan thought, secretly walking quickly. Entering the courtyard, she quickly walked to Guan's side, greeting obediently, "Senior brother." Guan nodded at her with a smile. "Senior brother, are you going to work today?" Yilan asked curiously. Guan was wearing cloth clothes, which were his old clothes, only worn when picking medicinal herbs. Guan replied, I plan to find some time to go up the mountain in the afternoon." Yilan didn't think much and continued, "The wind was strong last night, scaring me from cultivating. I was afraid the spiritual energy would be disrupted during energy absorption, affecting my luck. Senior brother, I heard from senior brother Meng that you encountered a demon attack. What was it like then?" Guan watched Xiaochuan and Lu Jiujiao practice the residual wind leg while explaining the situation back then. He was always patient with everyone. After an hour, the juniors left and Guan welcomed his relaxation time. He lay under a tree, holding the Green Hero Travelogue in one hand and playing with the White Spirit Rat in the other, feeling at ease. At this moment he kept thinking about the two people he encountered last night. He had held back his strength, he shouldn't have killed them, right? Guan felt uneasy because he had no enmity with them. Without a grudge, Guan didn't want to kill. With such worries, Guan spent an anxious day. Sunset and moonrise the next day at noon. While reading by the wooden railing, Guan suddenly saw figures at the mouth of the valley. Focusing his gaze, he found it was more than one person. A man and a woman. Guan sighed in relief, glad they were not dead. He used the Dragon Strength Divine Primordial skill to suppress his cultivation to the third layer of the energy cultivation realm, unafraid of being recognized. Soon, Qing Xiandan walked out of the pavilion, quickly going to the two and clasping his hands in salute. Before him stood a woman in white and a man in blue. The woman in white had an icy, stunning beauty, with fair and tender skin like creamy jade, almond-shaped eyes and willow eyebrows. She held the sword scabbard in her right hand, exuding an aloof and unapproachable aura. The man in blue was also handsome, with a tall and straight figure and a luxurious robe, but his face was a bit pale. They were both outer sect disciples of the Supreme Sect, the man named Shi Yang, and the woman named Li Xuanyu. Facing Qing Xiandan, Shi Yang smiled and stated their purpose. After hearing him, Qing Xiandan replied, "No one else has come to Medicine Valley these past 2 days." Having lived for 100 years, Qing Xiandan had experienced many things and stayed calm. Shi Yang looked at Medicine Valley and said, "Could you gather your disciples?" Qing Xiandan had no objections, turned, gathered his qi to his dantian and called loudly. Upon hearing him, Guan and the others ran over. "Xiaochuan, go get your senior brother Meng out too," Qing Xiandan instructed. Xiaochuan immediately ran off to find Meng Lang. Shi Yang and Li Xuanyu started scrutinizing Guan and the others, frowning silently. Qing Xiandan stayed silent, waiting for Meng Lang to arrive. Guan took this chance to probe the lifespan of the two outer sect disciples. The previous night he was in too much of a rush to check their lifespan. Li Xuanyu, Foundation Establishment Realm 4th Layer 24/245/1670. Shi Yang, Foundation Establishment Realm 5th Layer 25/298/1304. Wow. Both were geniuses, having Foundation Establishment cultivation in their 20s, and their maximum lifespans reaching over 1,000 years, with Li Xuanyu's exceeding that of Li Ya. Both bearing the surname Li. Could she be from the imperial family? Guan was secretly stunned, grateful that he hadn't revealed his identity the previous night. Soon, Xiaochuan returned with a frustrated-looking Meng Lang. Seeing Meng Lang, Shi Yang squinted his eyes and transmitted a message to Li Xuanyu beside him. Junior sister Li, this guy's aura is chaotic, showing signs of deviation. Although his cultivation is low, he might be related to the person we're looking for. Li Xuanyu stared at Meng Lang, her cold eyes seeming to see through him. Feeling their gazes, Meng Lang saw their distinguished attire and immediately reined in his expression. He lowered his head and stood beside Guan, followed by Xiaochuan. Qing Xiandan asked, "The night before last, about 10 miles from Medicine Valley, a mysterious cultivator was breaking through. Suspected to be a demon path spy. Have you seen anyone recently?" "Wow. Even demon path spies are here." Guan inwardly complained but outwardly frowned, showing tension. Meng Lang, wide-eyed, exclaimed, "Is there another demon invasion?" "Another? What do you mean?" Shi Yang asked, staring at Meng Lang. Meng Lang couldn't hold his tongue and immediately talked about the demon of greed incident. Hearing that it involved an inner sect disciple, Shi Yang's face changed slightly. This place was so dangerous? Shi Yang instantly lost the desire to investigate further. Guan took the opportunity to ask, "Seniors, did you see that demon path spy? Can you give us some clues?" The others nodded, becoming tense at the mention of the demon path. Shi Yang pondered, "It was too dark that night. I only remember the speed of his leg technique." Chapter 14 Daily Plan Medicine Poison. The leg technique is very fast? Xiaochuan, Lu Jiujia, and Yi Lan all had a slight change in their expressions. They simultaneously thought of Guan, but they didn't look at him, only pondering in their hearts. Meng Lang asked, "What do you mean? You two haven't fought that demon cultivator?" Shi Yang's face turned sullen at once. He took a deep breath and said, "Indeed, we were outmatched. My cultivation level is in the 5th layer of the Foundation Establishment realm, and my cousin's is in the 4th layer. The demon cultivator who defeated us with ease has an unfathomable cultivation level. If you have any clues, inform us as soon as possible to avoid leaving a disaster for yourself." When he revealed his cultivation level, Meng Lang and Xiaochuan drew a sharp breath. Meng Lang felt a surge of fear and quickly asked, "Since you are no match for him, why did you still seek him out? Why not call an inner sect disciple for help?" Shi Yang replied, "We have our contingencies." He became increasingly annoyed with Meng Lang. The boy was too brazen and his words were hitting the sore spots. Guan seized the chance and said, "If the opponent is truly a demon spy and easily defeated you two, that doesn't make sense. I see that the injuries of you two seniors are not severe. Would the demon path be so merciful?" Shi Yang looked at him with a subtle expression. After thinking for a moment, he replied, "It's hard to say, but outer disciples and inner disciples all have their caves and won't come here to cultivate. It is definitely suspicious. Are you sure you have no clues?" Li Xuanyu scrutinized Guan, who feigned nervousness and did not dare to meet the eyes of the two outer disciples. "It seems my disciples indeed have not encountered any demon spies," Qing Xiandan said, breaking the tense atmosphere. Shi Yang still wanted to speak, but Li Xuanyu interrupted first. "In that case, we take our leave." She bowed to Qing Xiandan and then turned to leave. Shi Yang could only follow her, giving Meng Lang a glare before leaving. Xiaochuan turned to Guan, about to say something, but Yi Lan stopped him. She put her finger to her lips, gesturing for silence, and kept winking. Qing Xiandan did not say much and turned to his pavilion. Watching Shi Yang and Li Xuanyu leave the valley, Guan then walked towards his courtyard, followed closely by the others. Xiaochuan was hesitant to speak. Guan glanced at him and asked with a smile, "What's the matter? Do you think my leg technique is mighty enough to defeat 2 Foundation Establishment cultivators?" Xiaochuan's face turned red, and he scratched his head involuntarily. Meng Lang burst out laughing and said, "Your master is only at the 3rd layer of the energy cultivation realm. Plus, the residual wind leg he practices is one of the most common leg techniques in the outer sect. How could he possibly be the demon spy that those outer disciples are talking about?" Lu Jiujia nodded. He truly didn't consider Guan as a demon spy, seeing him as the most gentle and kind person he had ever met. Yi Lan, on the other hand, was somewhat dissatisfied and said, "Even if it's the most common leg technique, our master will eventually master it." The incident where Guan suppressed Meng Lang with a single leg had not reached Meng Lang's ears. This was at Guan's request, and the junior brothers and sisters did not leak the word. Meng Lang shook his head with a smile, then left alone, preparing to practice spells in the woods. Yilan looked at his back, angrily waved her fists, and her small face puffed up like two buns. "All right, everyone go back to your cultivation. Strive to join the outer sect soon," Guan said with a smile and waved to indicate the juniors disperse. Meanwhile, high among the mountains, Shi Yang and Li Xuanyu were flying on their swords side by side, not moving very fast while scanning the terrain below. "Cousin, I feel something was off at Medicine Valley," Shi Yang said, his eyes cold and stern. That guy was too infuriating. Shi Yang felt increasingly angry thinking about Meng Lang's ugly face. Li Xuanyu's face remained icy cold as she whispered, "I think that servant disciple had a point. Maybe the person isn't a demon spy but just doesn't want to be recognized. The fact that we're alive is proof enough." Shi Yang frowned and said, "Is there really someone like this among the outer sect?" It felt like he had at least the 9th layer of the Foundation establishment realm, and that leg technique was something I had never seen before. It must be some ultimate skill. His background must be significant. We will find out eventually. Li Xuanyu looked towards the distant sky, seemingly pondering something, her eyebrows knit tightly. Shi Yang also fell silent. Both were well-known outer sect geniuses. The thought that their opponent from the other night was also an outer disciple was a severe blow to them. As summer gradually arrived, the Supreme Sect's summer was extremely hot. The whole world seemed to distort in the heat, and Lu Jiujia, who was tilling the land, was emitting white vapor from his body. Guan, who had turned 21, was practicing alchemy in the courtyard. Before him was a small cauldron, and he stared at the boiling medicinal liquids, hesitating whether or not to throw in the herbs in his hand. Alchemy is truly a skillful art. Just as Guan was in a dilemma, Meng Lang hurriedly rushed into the courtyard and into his room. Within 10 breaths he came out with a bundle. "Guan, I'm going to take the outer sect examination. When I make a name for myself, I will come back to take care of you." Meng Lang left with those words, excitedly departing. Outer sect examination? Guan was surprised. Meng Lang was only in the 7th layer of the energy cultivation realm. How could he take the examination? If one couldn't show extraordinary talent upon entry, one had to wait until achieving the Foundation establishment to join the outer sect. This was the Supreme Sect, the foremost sect in the Taizong dynasty. A Foundation establishment cultivator would be revered in some third-rate sects, but in the Supreme Sect they were only an outer disciple. Guan looked in the direction Meng Lang had left and saw that Qing Xiandan was coming down the stairs. Qing Xiandan was actually taking Meng Lang out of the valley. Guan sensed something was amiss, but even if he tried to stop Meng Lang now, he wouldn't listen. Meng Lang had become obsessive about becoming an outer disciple. What do I care? In pursuing the path of longevity. If I worry about this and that, how can I ever find peace? Guan thought so, his eyes becoming resolute. He continued practicing alchemy, striving not to think about Meng Lang. Therefore he sat in front of the small cauldron for a whole day, only managing to create a pile of dregs. It wasn't until deep into the night that he quietly left. He left Medicine Valley not for Meng Lang but for his own cultivation. Since it had been 2 months since Shi Yang and Li Xuanyu left, he planned to start his daily routine. Every night from now on, he would sneak out and devote a year of his lifespan to improving his cultivation level. This time, the disturbance from sacrificing his lifespan to enhance his cultivation was equally noticeable but much less than before, and it ended quickly. The next morning, Guan casually asked Yilan how her cultivation went the previous night. This time, Yilan hadn't heard any noise, and her cultivation had gone smoothly. Guan was completely at ease. The daily plan could proceed. Days passed by. Qing Xiandan and Meng Lang had been gone for half a month and had yet to return. Guan concluded that Meng Lang was probably doomed. Previously, Zhang Chuanqiu went to the outer sect and always returned within 7 days. He never stayed long. Xiaochuan and the others inquired about when their master would return, and Guan could only divert their attention, urging them to focus on their cultivation. 2 months later, Qing Xiandan finally returned. Cheng Xuandan's hair had turned completely white, and he no longer wore his headscarf. His appearance shocked Xiaochuan and the others, who all rushed to him while Guan did the same. "I'm fine. Just need to rest for a few days." Qing Xiandan waved his hand, speaking weakly. He gently pushed Lu Jiujia aside and then headed to his pavilion. Guan frowned deeply. He saw that Cheng Xuandan's cultivation level had fallen to the 2nd layer of the energy cultivation realm, and his lifespan was greatly reduced, leaving only 2 years. He had thought Qing Xiandan was planning to harm Meng Lang, either by seizing his body or turning him into a puppet, but Qing Xiandan instead looked like he was dying. Guan watched Qing Xuandan's back, lost in thought. Yilan believed he was worried about Qing Xiandan, so she consoled, "Senior brother, don't worry. Master will be fine." Guan looked at her and nodded with a smile. After chatting briefly with the junior brothers and sisters, Guan left alone. "I feel like something's wrong with Master," Lu Jiujia whispered to Xiaochuan, frowning with sharp eyes. Xiaochuan nodded and said, "Indeed, something's off." Lu Jiujia leaned in to whisper to him. Yilan kept watching Guan's departing figure. After Qing Xiandan returned, he stayed in his room, and Guan could sense that he was practicing and healing, but his aura grew weaker by the day. As winter was approaching, Qing Xiandan finally emerged. From afar he called out to Guan, who quickly ran over. "Master," Guan greeted respectfully. Qing Xuandan's hair was completely white, even his beard and eyebrows had turned, and his face had brown spots, looking incredibly aged. "Let's go, I'll take you to the outer sect." Qing Xiandan stroked his beard and smiled kindly. Guan couldn't help but ask, "What are we going to the outer sect for? Don't you want to become the Valley Master?" Qing Xiandan asked in return. Guan's heart raced at his words, but his face changed with concern, asking in fear, "Master, what's wrong? Don't scare me." Seeing him so anxious, Qing Xuandan's gaze softened even more. "Let's go. We'll talk on the way." With that, Qing Xiandan turned and walked towards the valley's exit. Guan quickly said something to Xiaochuan, who was closest, and then followed Qing Xiandan. Upon leaving the valley, Qing Xiandan headed for the forest. Now that he could no longer fly, it meant they had to walk to the outer sect. Guan suddenly wanted to turn back and tell Xiaochuan and the others not to harvest the soon-to-be ripe medicinal herbs, but wait for his return. The master and disciple walked in the forest. Guan tried to support Qing Xiandan, but he was gently declined. The sect's salary for the Valley Master is limited. When recruiting servant disciples in the future, you must be careful. Moreover, you need to provide a certain amount of yield every year. Qing Xiandan walked in front, talking casually. It seemed like Guan was listening attentively, but he was also wary. After all, Ming Lang's fate was still uncertain. Qing Xuandan's pace was not very fast. Furthermore, the nearby area was mountainous. After walking for an hour, they had only covered a few miles. Guan could hardly stand it. How long would it take to reach the outer sect at this rate? He even wanted to carry Qing Xiandan. As they crossed a small brook, Qing Xiandan suddenly asked ahead, "Why haven't you asked about Ming Lang's whereabouts?" Guan pretended to be puzzled and asked, "Didn't he go for the outer sect examination? Did he not pass?" "I lied to him. He has been refined into a medicine poison by me," Qing Xiandan replied as he walked, seemingly not afraid of Guan attacking from behind. Hearing this, Guan's expression didn't change. He carefully perceived their surroundings, confirming there was no one else around. Chapter 15. Thousand Autumn Pavilion, Master of Mystic Valley. Medicine poison? Master you? Guan asked, pretending to be horrified. Could it be that Qing Xiandan also wanted to make a move against him? Qing Xiandan didn't turn back as he brushed away the tree branches blocking the path, bent down and walked through. He said as he went, "Ming Lang's qualification is a bit better than yours, but not by much. Even with my elixir support, it's still hard for him to reach foundation establishment. Medicine Valley only needs one successor. His presence is a threat to you. You should sense his character flaw." Guan went silent upon hearing this. These words didn't sound quite right. Was he killing Ming Lang for Guan's sake? But he didn't want Ming Lang dead. Ming Lang might be despicable, but his nature wasn't entirely bad. Don't overthink. Though I killed him to pave the way for you, you can blame it on his better qualification. I did it for the Master of Medicine Valley, Qing Xiandan said nonchalantly. Guan couldn't help but ask, shouldn't the Master of Medicine Valley be selected based on talent? But if the talent is too formidable, how could he settle peacefully in this Medicine Valley for life? Is there something special about this Medicine Valley? Indeed there is. I am not just a disciple of the Supreme Sect, but also a spy for the Thousand Autumn Pavilion. The Thousand Autumn Pavilion is a demonic sect, weaker than the Supreme Sect, so they planted many spies like me. Goodness, there really are demonic spies. Guan suddenly didn't know how to respond. He realized that Qing Xiandan truly didn't want to harm him. The worst part was that Qing Xiandan clearly intended to pass on the spy burden to him. After I die, you can peacefully be the Valley Master. You don't need to do anything deliberately. When the Thousand Autumn Pavilion needs you, someone will naturally come to find you. Just follow their orders. Of course, you can also report to the Supreme Sect, but think carefully about whether the Supreme Sect can tolerate you. For disciples like you, they would rather kill wrongly than let a spy go, Qing Xiandan said with a slight tone of leisure which made Guan want to hit him. Remember the spy code of the Thousand Autumn Pavilion? Heart of the Thousand Herbs talks, unrepentant. In the face of 10,000 laws, finding roots is hard. Do I have no other choice? What do you think? Guan went silent again. Spies like me are inconsequential even to the Thousand Autumn Pavilion. You might never encounter them seeking you out in this lifetime, Qing Xiandan said mockingly. Guan thought it over and realized he couldn't resist. It was like having mud on your pants. Even if you're not a demonic spy, you end up being one. Master, if you are a cultivator of the Thousand Autumn Pavilion, there must be a reason why you stay in Medicine Valley. Why hide it? Guan asked solemnly. You're indeed smart. Yes, there is a 7th-level spirit tree hidden under Medicine Valley. When we return, I will take you to see it, Qing Xiandan said. Say, 7th level? Guan's voice trembled and his eyes lit up. Tiny flakes of winter snow fluttered in the air. A majestic city stood among the mountains with city gates reaching 10 zhang high. People walked into the city, some disciples of the Supreme Sect flew using sword control, and others rode mounts. Guan walked on the mountain path, gazing at the outer gate city of the Supreme Sect from afar, his eyes filled with wonder. What a huge city. The Supreme Sect has 8 outer gate cities. Further in are the 4 inner gate cities, and within those lies the main city of Sect. Only prodigies and those with high status can step foot there. Seen from the sky, the layout of the Supreme Sect is said to resemble an intricate compass, with each mountain possessing its own mysteries, Qing Xiandan explained, his tone filled with emotion and a hint of regret in his eyes. Guan couldn't help but ask, just how big is the Supreme Sect? They had been traveling for over half a month, indicating the distance between Medicine Valley and the city. Vast beyond measure. Even I am not sure, Qing Xiandan replied, continuing towards the outer gate city, with Guan following closely behind. When Guan first joined the Supreme Sect, he hadn't come to the outer gate city. A Supreme Sect elder had received Ji Xiaoyu in a mountain forest pavilion, and out of respect for her, after Guan expressed his desired destination, the elder dispatched a disciple to escort him to Cheng Zuandan's Medicine Valley. This was his first visit to the outer gate. The master and disciple duo walked to the city gate, where Qing Xiandan revealed his token. Guan caught a glimpse of the characters engraved on it, Mystic Valley. Upon entering the city, deafening noise greeted them, surprising Guan privately. The city gate had a restriction. Given his hearing ability, he couldn't hear the city's noise from outside. Premium medicinal herbs, first come, first served, only selling 10 today. Treasures from the cave of a nascent soul great cultivator, come and see. Pure-blooded snow mountain spirit fox, in 5 years it will be able to speak. Treasure hunt. Treasure hunt. Each item only 10 low-grade spirit stones. What you find depends on your fortune. Map of an ancient great cultivator's cave, strong cultivators welcome to buy. Guan was attracted by the shouting vendors along both sides of the street. The road was flanked by pavilion shops, spacious, without any disciples setting up stalls on the ground. Guan even saw a brothel. Not bad, worthy of being a reputable sect. Qing Xiandan introduced along the way, widening Guan's horizon. No wonder so many people fought to enter the Supreme Sect. The resources for immortal cultivation in the Supreme Sect were indeed abundant. Guan not only listened but also frantically used lifespan detection. Walking down 2 streets, he already saw 5 cultivators with an extreme lifespan exceeding 500 years. The outer gate really was full of hidden talents. An hour later, Qing Xiandan led Guan into a huge mansion, with a plaque bearing 3 large characters. Elixir Hall. The Elixir Hall was bustling with people, some in a hurry, some with frowning faces and others laughing heartily. Guan followed Qing Xiandan into a courtyard to visit an elder of the Elixir Hall. Zhu Qinglu, 9th level of the Foundation Establishment Realm, one of the elders of the Elixir Hall, overseeing 51 medicine valleys and Cheng Zuandan's superior. He was stout, wearing a loose cyan Taoist robe with a kind smile, giving off a harmless vibe. In the hall, Zhu Qinglu received Qing Xiandan and had a disciple serve him tea. Xiandan, why do you look so ill? Zhu Qinglu asked with concern. Guan took the chance to use lifespan detection. Zhu Qinglu, Foundation Establishment Realm, 9th Layer 211/267/510. He had lived for 211 years. Guan stood beside Qing Xiandan, not daring to be disrespectful. Qing Xiandan smiled. To be honest, my end is near. Today, I came not only to hand over medicinal herbs but also to pass on the position of Valley Master of Mystic Valley to my disciple. Zhu Qinglu looked at Guan and smiled. 3rd layer of the Energy Cultivation Realm, it seems this child has some outstanding qualities. Bah! Such a crude way of putting it. Qing Xiandan laughed. This child has a pure nature, can unite disciples, and is willing to stay in Medicine Valley for life, making him the best choice. Zhu Qinglu didn't say much. He raised his hand and summoned a disciple from outside the hall. After 30 minutes, Guan followed Qing Xiandan out of the elixir hall, playing with a bronze token in his hand. It had the words Mystic Valley engraved and exuded a restrictive aura. From now on, within the elixir hall of the Supreme Sect, his identity was the Master of Mystic Valley. The storage bag of the Valley Master is with me. I will pass it to you. Qing Xuandan's voice from ahead interrupted Guan's thoughts. Guan quickly asked, Master, where are we going next? He wanted to go back as some medicinal herbs were ready for picking. He worried that his junior brothers and sisters might help themselves to his herbs. Before we return, he'll take you to the Chores Hall to recruit a servant disciple. Today you can recruit a servant disciple to take back, which will also familiarize you with the process. Qing Xiandan replied without turning back. Guan looked at his back, feeling a surge of emotions. People have many sides, and this was vividly demonstrated in Qing Xiandan. Previously, Qing Xiandan treated his disciples with a cold demeanor. Now he even crafted one disciple into medicine poison. He was also a demonic spy, in every way appearing as an evil person. But his kindness to Guan was genuine. The Chores Hall wasn't far from the Elixir Hall. After turning a few streets, they arrived. The mansion was larger. Entering the gate, Guan saw a vast square filled with people. Seeing those waiting to be selected, Guan realized how lucky he was. If not for the Ji family's influence with his low-grade spirit root qualification, he would have had to wait for selection like these individuals. Look around as you like, I won't interfere. Once you've chosen, I'll take you to register, Qing Xiandan said softly, rubbing his chest, clearly feeling unwell. Guan nodded and walked away. Still need to judge? Golden finger activated. Guan began frantically using lifespan detection, checking everyone. Most people here had very limited extreme lifespans, some even had only a year left, yet still hoped to be selected. Guan quickly found a genius with an extreme lifespan exceeding 500 years. He wasn't in a hurry to decide, wanting to see everyone first. Medicine Valley didn't need geniuses. He needed someone with a long current lifespan. Extreme lifespan indicates a person's cultivation limit. Reaching the limit is extremely difficult, requiring many fortuitous opportunities. Many pearls go unnoticed because spirit root qualification doesn't entirely determine one's future height. Current lifespan was different. Barring severe injuries, one would live that long. Soon Guan's eyes locked on a young monk. The boy had ordinary features, wore tattered clothes, and was meditating in a corner of the square. Wuxia, Energy Cultivation Realm, 2nd Layer 15/330/380. Practicing the Energy Cultivation Realm yet having 330 years of life. How peculiar. Perhaps the child had a special physique or practiced a unique cultivation technique. Guan immediately walked to Wuxia. Noticing him, Wuxia opened his eyes to see Guan's smiling face. Young brother, would you like to come to my Medicine Valley? It's not too busy and you'll have ample time to cultivate. Guan smiled warmly. Seeing his smile, Wuxia instinctively nodded. Not far away, Qing Xiandan scrutinized Wuxia, seemingly noticing something. Glancing at Guan, his eyes took on a peculiar look. Chapter 16, Foundation Establishment Realm 7th Layer, Mysteries of the Mountains and Forests. After being invited by Guan, Wuxia did not say a word until they walked out of the Chores Hall. From beginning to end, he merely nodded once. Guan suspected that he had recruited a mute. To Wuxia, becoming a servant disciple as soon as possible was the most important thing at the moment. The first impression Guan gave him was very good, so he agreed directly. The reason he was in such a hurry to become a servant disciple was that he was a spy from the demon path. He came from the demonic sect Thousand Autumn Pavilion and was the youngest son of one of the Pavilion masters. Because his aptitude was inferior to his brothers, he volunteered to come and become a spy. Firstly, to escape the oppressive environment at home. Secondly, to see if he could make some achievements. If he couldn't, then so be it. Wuxin looked at Guan and Qing Xiandan in front of him. He had already made a preliminary judgment about the two. One was a kind, simple ordinary cultivator. The other an old man nearing his grave. Judging from their words, Medicine Valley indeed seemed very idle, and the atmosphere must be very good. Heavy snow fell, and Mystic Valley was engulfed in whiteness, with only one color in the world. Bam! Wuxin was kicked down into the snow with snow splashing onto his face. He clutched his chest in pain. Lu Jiujia, why are you being so serious? Reproached Yilan from the side. Lu Jiujia stood in the snow and slowly retracted his leg. He raised his chin and snorted, you have to be serious in a sparring session. Only then can you make progress. His cultivation level had already reached the 5th layer of the energy cultivation realm, making him the strongest person in Medicine Valley on the surface. Yilan's cultivation was at the 4th layer of the energy cultivation realm. Xiaochuan and Guan were both at the 3rd layer of the energy cultivation realm. Wuxin, at the 2nd layer of the energy cultivation realm, was completely defenseless in front of Lu Jiujia. Damn it! Why are the servant disciples so strong? Wuxin's mentality almost collapsed. He saw that Lu Jiujia was practicing his leg technique, so he couldn't help but try it. He didn't expect to be defeated by Lu Jiujia in just 2 kicks. What he didn't know was that Lu Jiujia had a good senior brother. Over the years, Guan would always set aside time every day to practice with Lu Jiujia. Even though Lu Jiujia put in his full effort every time, he could never win. Day after day his leg technique became very refined, and his physical strength was also substantial. Wuxin didn't believe in giving up. He thought it was because he let his guard down, so he stood up and charged at Lu Jiujia again. Bam! Bam! Lu Jiujia kicked twice, once again sending Wuxin flying to the ground. Wuxin felt as if his forearm was about to break. The 15-year-old lay in the snow, shedding tears of humiliation. Why did it turn out like this? This wasn't the life of a spy he had imagined. Even if he had to climb mountains of swords or plunge into seas of fire, he should at least be defeated on the path to stealing information. He was actually defeated by a seemingly ordinary servant disciple. If I hadn't practiced this skill, with my talent, how could I endure such humiliation? Wuxin clenched his fists, and the sound of Yilan and Lu Jiujia arguing rang out, sounding extremely harsh to his ears. Lu Jiujia looked at Yilan in front of him, dissatisfied. He's a boy, not a fragile girl. Move aside and stop favoring him. When I was kicked to the ground by senior brother, why didn't you say anything? Yilan glared at him and said, how could I not say anything? I spoke for you then and you yelled at me. Moreover, senior brother didn't exert himself like you did. Think about it carefully. When senior brother sparred with you, didn't he wait for you to use all your leg techniques before he lightly defeated you? But you're hard and reckless. What could junior brother Wuxin learn from sparring with you? Lu Jiujia's face changed with dissatisfaction as he thought back carefully, realizing it was indeed like that. It was because he could give his all every time that he had more ideas. Simply taking beatings didn't teach him anything. Lu Jiujia felt ashamed and more grateful to Guan's senior brother was really too good to him. Yilan helped Wuxin up and seeing his red eyes quickly comforted, don't take it to heart. He meant well, wanting to spar seriously and progress together. It's just his personality to take things seriously. Lu Jiujia saw Wuxin's red eyes and scratched his head awkwardly. Jiujia, I see your leg technique has improved. How about a practice session? A gentle voice came from behind. Lu Jiujia turned his head and saw Guan walking over with a warm smile. Lu Jiujia eagerly nodded upon hearing this. Recently, his confidence had swelled, and he thought he could win against senior brother. Yilan and Wuxin looked at Guan, while Wuxin secretly wondered, is this senior brother really that formidable? Can he cross 2 small realms and defeat Lu Jiujia? Guan stopped and beckoned to Lu Jiujia. Lu Jiujia grinned and took a quick step forward to attack. Bam! Lu Jiujia flew out a dozen meters, carving a long trench in the snow. Stars danced before his eyes, and he nearly fainted, feeling as if his internal organs were shifting locations. The pain was excruciating. Wuxin was stunned. What a fast leg. He hadn't even seen how Guan had moved his leg. Yilan, however, laughed so hard her eyes turned into crescents. She quickly stepped forward towards Guan, complimenting senior brother's increasingly fast legs. Guwen petted her head, then looked at Wuxin and asked, "Wuxin, do you want to learn leg techniques in the future?" Wuxin's potential lifespan was higher than others, making him a genius with potential. He couldn't let Lu Jiujia ruin him. "I want to," Wuxin replied firmly in a strong and forceful tone, unlike his usual meek demeanor. From afar, Lu Jiujia's wails drew Guwen's attention. Guwen walked over, looked down at him and snorted, "Stop pretending. Tell me, do you like this kind of sparring?" Lu Jiujia lay on the ground, slightly turned to the side, peeking at Guwen with one eye. When he saw his serious expression, he closed his eyes again and cried out in pain, "Senior brother, I was wrong." Guwen pulled him up, dusting off the snow on him, and whispered, "A true strong person isn't one who defeats someone stronger but one who can control his arrogance and not bully those weaker." Lu Jiujia rubbed his chest, earnestly pondering Guwen's words. Yilan and Wuxin also heard, especially Wuxin, who felt shaken. He didn't expect such a wise person to be hidden within the small medicine valley. In the Thousand Autumn Pavilion, bullying the weak was the norm. He was weak and even his father and brothers bullied him. Was right. They could not be considered strong. Wuxin thought to himself, and his gaze towards Guwen changed. "You will teach Wuxin leg techniques first." Guwen patted Lu Jiujia's shoulder. Lu Jiujia nodded quickly, not daring to refuse. Afterward, Guwen took Yilan up the mountain to look after some newly planted seeds. Xiaochuan was already up there. As for Qing Xiandan, after returning, he shut himself in his house and didn't come out. Guwen visited him once and Qing Xiandan said he was recuperating, so Guwen didn't dare disturb him again. Day after day passed. With Wuxin's addition, Medicine Valley became livelier, with Lu Jiujia and Xiaochuan loving to tease him. The sound of their playful fighting often echoed in Medicine Valley. Year's end. Night fell. Guwen was reading in his room. He was no longer reading Green Hero Travelogue but another book titled Thousand Autumn Pavilion Secret History. This book came from the book collection Pavilion in Medicine Valley. He didn't know if it was true or false, but he read it for fun anyway. The flame of the oil lamp flickered slightly, and a cold breeze seeped through the window gap. Being at the 6th layer of the Foundation Establishment realm, Guwen was unaffected. After finishing the page, he put down the book and prepared to get up for his daily routine. Suddenly, he heard slight movements from the neighboring room. Someone was quietly leaving the room, the movements light but not escaping his ears. Was Wuxin. Guwen was very familiar with the auras of everyone in Medicine Valley and instantly judged his identity. He listened silently to Wuxin's footsteps as he headed towards the book collection pavilion. After entering, the boy started searching through the books. What is he looking for? Guwen was filled with curiosity. In his impression, Wuxin was very obedient. Anything assigned to him he would seriously do, unlike Lu Jiujia who occasionally slacked off. Aside from being obedient, Wuxin also had a competitive spirit second only to Lu Jiujia's. He often looked for his two senior brothers to spar, fighting and losing, losing and fighting again. Could it be that this kid was looking for a secret book? Guwen thought of this and felt a bit sorry for his junior brother. From tomorrow on he would personally teach his junior brother. Wuxin searched for about an hour before quietly returning to his room. After a while, Guwen got up and quietly left his room. He needed to go to the forest a dozen miles away for his daily routine. Yet another summer arrived. Guwen turned 22. His lifespan already exceeded 4,000 years, and he planned to save it up to over 10,000 years before using it. After several months, thanks to his daily routine, his cultivation level successfully broke through to the 7th layer of the Foundation Establishment realm, although his apparent cultivation level remained at the 3rd layer of the Energy Cultivation realm. As time passed, Guwen grew more curious about the 7th level spirit tree mentioned by Qing Xiandan. He even tried searching for it but couldn't find the entrance to the underground. Wuxin occasionally also explored at night, once almost running into Guwen. Fortunately, Guwen's excellent hearing allowed him to avoid it. Near noon, Guwen squatted under a tree, observing his white spirit rat. The white spirit rat was spinning madly in front of him, very lively. Grown up? But spring has already passed, Guwen wondered. He had raised the white spirit rat for years and its size hadn't changed. With Liya not around, he couldn't determine the growth stage of the white spirit rat. This little guy had been spinning for half a day. The white spirit rat, seemingly understanding Guwen's words, suddenly jumped up and bit Guwen's hand, then quickly ran away. Guwen didn't feel any pain, so he didn't get angry. He watched as the white spirit rat stopped and started spinning madly in place again. Wait. Could it be? Guan thought of something, quickly got up and walked towards the white spirit rat. Seeing him approach, the white spirit rat stopped spinning and ran towards the forest. Soon, the human and rat disappeared into the forest. Wuxin stood under a tree watching the direction Guan left. He frowned and thought, the forest again. According to Lu Jiujia, Liya and Meng Lang liked to train alone in the forest before. Senior brother's leg technique is much better than his cultivation level. Could the forest hold some secret? The more he thought about it, the more possible it seemed. He didn't chase after Guan but planned to check it out quietly at night. On the other side, Guan followed the white spirit rat, crossing mountains and ridges, eventually leaving Medicine Valley. This little guy operated in such a large range? Guan realized he had underestimated the white spirit rat and grew more curious about where it was leading him. Liya had mentioned before that the white spirit rat had the nickname of treasure hunting rat. Could it be that it had found the 7th level spirit tree? You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.